was over talking to Chip and Willow. I've planted the seed
Cool.
because Willow wants to. No, it's giving me the same. I restarted the whole system. Ugh, I'm not going to fight. Anyway, I put the bug in her ear, and then for her birthday last year, I gave her like the first monster manual.
Mm-hmm.
So now she's been asking questions about Dungeons and Dragons. And then I told her
Nice.
I told her the story of early in 2000. Oh,
Oh, are we on yet?
let me double check.
Oh, we're getting there.
It's still giving me the you're not. I still have a little thing.
Giving you the, you may not be doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it says you have low output or whatever. Oh, okay. This is okay. We are going. We have been going for a whole minute now, because I'm always quick with the intros. Hello and welcome to yet another thrilling and exciting episode 22. We're doing pretty good. The Supreme Council of the Master Geeks Lodge. My name is Bill Kelly. I am Hornswoggle the Great, and with me, my co-hosts are
Car Guy Automotive Detective, savior of all pedestrians, and protector for everything geek.
And Rob the Blacksmith, cigar in hand.
Cigar in hand. There you go.
Have pipe, will travel. Have cigar, will smoky.
You say
Bill.
that, but have I showed you the business card that I have?
No.
I have a business card that my grandfather got when he was the Postmaster General for the city of San Francisco. And it is an old, you remember Paladin? The television show Paladin?
A night without armor in a savage land. Yeah.
Exactly. So I have a business card that says, have gun, will travel.
Nice. That was his.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That was it. Yeah, that's right. What was it? Have gun, will travel. Send to San Francisco, or send to care of General Delivery, San Francisco, California.
That's awesome. Those are the old good shows. No, I've been, Willow's 10 now, and I feel really bad. We put together a Shadowrun game, and it was going to be like Ron and his son Nick and both my kids and Christine and Ed and, Shane was with. It just, I blame me. I think I'm just burned out on DMing, and that was like a year ago. But I think teaching Willow will help me, because teaching really young people, you have to explain, because her whole point of reference is choose your own adventure books and video games. And as we've learned, the problem with video games and tabletop role-playing games is that sometimes the transition is hard for video gamers, for the whole, you're so used to fighting everybody and working by yourself that single player guys tend to like, okay, I do this, and then I do this, and they go, whoa, you're in a group, dude, hold on, it's not your turn. But I was still doing, yeah, you did that, now it's his turn. And it takes them a session or two, but then they become so focused on the group goal that they slow down and everything becomes okay. Whereas guys like, especially me, old Gen Xers that have been playing video games since they were new, like I drive Ed crazy because my dude's constantly encumbered because I have to take everything apart and we might need this, I am the scavenger in every single game we play, whether it's Fallout 76 or 7 Days or even all of them. I have a natural proclivity to be a hoarder in video games. Oh, I have brought so many car parts home that they've now inundated my backyard. So yesterday and today, I wanted to get out to the ranch and I wanted to get over to do, I've missed Tomahawk Night for a while now. I was exhausted because yesterday and today I spent I still have the pieces of the palm tree that I pulled out of the front yard, so I was digging really deep holes and to build garden on top of those. And then I could put down pallets and reorganize all the car parts because the backyard's getting nuts. It's too unorganized, and I can't have that. That drives me crazy. So that was, oh man, am I tired. And 53-year-old body is sore now. My shoulder hurts because I'm old.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Another
That you
year.
messages.
Another year, another the sun. We just missed yours too, Mr. Aries.
Yep. Yep. We all went one turn around the sun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a new pain. That's a new discomfort.
Yeah, thanks. That's doing my best and failing miserably. Yeah. You wanted to do the topic tonight. Otherwise, I've been watching a lot of history lately. Yeah, I'm working on something else.
Well, I was talking on Rob that I gotten a lot of stuff coming up with the new Marvel movies. An insider and an actor. I sent you a thing on it. Let something slide. That means heavy ramifications to Marvel, to the movies. So, that being said,
no further ado.
No further ado. There might be some, for anyone listening, there might be some spoilers for the end of the Marvels and also for the end of the Thunderbolts, or what they call now the new Avengers. Now, what happened is there's an announcement that just happened a couple minutes ago that I'm going to talk about, but not right now because I got to lead up to why it's happening. Is that a couple of things that happened at the end of the Marvels and that happened at the end of Thunderbolts. So you seen that little clip that I sent you, right? I went looking for it on the internet. Okay, that it's Alan Cummings. He played in the 2000s X-Men, the Fox X-Men. Okay, so he made a statement that he was talking about being 60 years old and doing stunts again, wire work, all this other stunts, getting back into makeup. That he played a part that was 23, 26 years again, and here he is at 60, fighting. And he was saying he was making action shots, and he says, "I'm over here hitting," and he mentioned Pedro Pascal. And he just said that unknowingly. Just said it like regular, right? So most people missed it. But some guy said, wait a minute. In the recent announcement, Pedro Pascal is playing Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. So they said, why is Nightcrawler, if he's shooting shots right now, supposedly for Doomsday, in a battle with Mr. Fantastic, Pedro Pascal? So what happened was they said that then. Well, what happened simultaneously a couple of days before, because remember, the Thunderbolts came out. Now, I'm giving a spoiler warning, and I'm going to say this because somebody said this. There's a certain cutscene at the end of Thunderbolts, which has now been renamed the New Avengers. That, again,
Avengers?
I'm giving you warning to anybody that's listening. If you don't want to hear anything about it,
sorry.
Tune away right now. Yeah. Sorry, it's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay? Is at the end of Thunderbolts, the Fantastic Four comes into our universe. They seen the ship from the Fantastic Four. Okay? So that puts now the Fantastic Four in the 616 our universe with the new Avengers. So our Avengers, our timeline, our universe. However, the X-Men are not in our universe. Okay? So, again, another thing on it was in the ending of the Marvels, there was a cutscene where you have the superhero Photon, which fought with Captain Marvel, which fought with Mrs. Marvel. With using her powers, gets teleported or goes through the dimension, winds up in another universe Kelsey Grammer's Beast. Okay, now follow the logic. Kelsey Grammer was in the X-Men movies, the first, the second, and third as Beast before they recast him to a younger one. He's in the same universe as Nightcrawler, as Alan Cummings' Nightcrawler.
Well, it's what Cable says to Cyclops. I've been to so many versions of this world, and everybody hates you.
Everybody is.
So it's like if you were to say that people were fighting with Cyclops, okay, because they personified his personality in the early 80s comics, and then they re-personified it in the 97 one that they've just expanded into a further storyline. But, dude, every other paragraph, Cyclops utters the phrase, Professor X put me in charge. Yes, Scott, we know. Oh, my God. So he's kind of like Niedermeyer of their world, if you've seen Animal House, where...
But that's not the main clip. That's not the main thing I was saying.
I'm sorry. Let me get the rest of my thought out. When you say that Alan Cummings made the comment that he was fighting in that there are only so many options as to why that would happen. And I could give a list because I started making a list. Like, well, he could be fighting Mysterio and not realize it's not, or it could be Mystique, or it could be zombies.
Well, everybody said that. Everybody said that. But here's where you debunk it, because somebody went through this, and what I'm telling later, I didn't lead up to the big part. I was telling a little bit to Rob. Yeah. You see, what happened was there already was a Mr. Fantastic. They had it in Multiverse of Madness. I forget the name. He's married to Emily Blunt. He was Mr. Fantastic in that universe. But what he said, Alan Cummings said, was Pedro Pascal. He's exclusive to the new Reed Richards. So if he said Mr. Fantastic, I will get it, because it would be any version of Mr. Fantastic. But he said Pedro Pascal, which means this version of Pedro Pascal in the Fantastic Four is not in our universe.
What if they were just arguing?
It's not in our
guy.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we're getting into spoiler territory. But what I'm saying next is, because I have to connect the dots for you. So when I give the big reveal, because there's a couple big reveals coming up, you go, oh, okay. Because in the Marvels, Photon winds up in the X-Men universe supposedly. Okay. In the big chair reveal that they had Alan Cummings, they had Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen. They also did Channing Tatum, and they also did the guy who played Cyclops. So they haven't announced Halle Berry yet, but I think they're in negotiations. But everyone said at the ending, when they showed all the chairs for the people coming out for Avengers, Doomsday, the one with Robert Downey Jr., that one person was missing. Well, two people were missing. Was Halle Berry, and they didn't have Hugh Jackman. But Hugh Jackman already signed a deal with Disney for multiple showings and multiple movies. So I think they're holding off Halle Berry and Hugh Jackman being in the movie. I think they're keeping it a secret, because they already know with it that he already signed it. With that showing Channing Tatum, who was in Deadpool and Wolverine, he's coming back as Gambit. So they're putting an X team together.
Yeah, he's perfect for Gambit.
Perfect for Gambit. So they're putting an X-Men team together. He's already slated to be in the movie. Yeah. So you have a guy that's called My Time to Shine Hello on Reddit and also on 4chan. Now, he's been scooping big deals for the longest time. I follow him. Okay. He scooped the Robert Downey Jr. being Dr. Doom. He did it 3 to 4 months ahead before them. He scooped about the cancellation of Blade, saying Mahershala Ali was unhappy, and he went to the Jurassic Park franchise, and he's in the new Jurassic Park movie. And after that, recently, they canceled Dr. Doom. I mean, not Dr. Doom. They canceled Blade. The Blade, gone. They're not doing Blade anymore. Well, My Time to Shine said there's a major battle that's happening, that's coming out. and because of everything in place, is that you could have Doctor Doom. Robert Downey Jr. is Doctor Doom. But the Tony Stark that we have might have not been Tony Stark from the get-go. Might have been that he was raised up as a Stark, but always would have been a Doom. Dr. Doom from the Nolan universe always looked like Robert Downey Jr. Now, what corroborates this is that he says there's going to be a big battle. And what they introduce right now kind of puts it in perspective. The other spoiler, that you're going to have Magneto versus Doctor Doom. Ian McKellen is back as Magneto. Robert Downey Jr. is Doom. The big announcement just now, Neve Campbell has signed on to play a part for the new Doomsday series. And what My Time to Shine, and it's followed by Alan Rickman.
Hope she's Pepper Potts and not awful
No,
Paltrow anymore.
Neve Campbell from The Craft and stuff. She's playing Polaris, which is Magneto's daughter, another X-Men. So you could have, and what is everyone's speculating from everything that you see, an X-Men versus Avengers, possibly versus God Emperor Doom. And everything's pointing to that. And there's other stuff with the Fantastic Four. So they could be doing the whole Doom's world, the whole thing with the incursions.
It's what sucks. It's like the superhero movies have gone into the genre of we can't just have like a good superhero movie. It has to be over the top and the big bad. No, it doesn't. It could evolve into that, but they're going to put out Ironheart in 45 days, and they don't even have a trailer for it. That tells you how much faith they have in the DEI Iron Man.
Well, Ironheart, they kind of dismissed that already. Yep. They kind of, because it was part of the old thing back at the fourth season for it, and they kind of dismissed that. So it's not going to take as prevalent, because what happened is the Russo brothers came and rewrote it, because remember, it was supposed to be Kang Dynasty. Kang was supposed to be the big bad guy, but what happened with Jonathan Majors derailed all of that. So secretly, the Russo brothers, they're the ones that filmed the ending scene in Thunderbolts. They filmed the scene and they're doing pickup shots right now for Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
That they're doing 2 months before it comes out with the Silver Surfette. So they're looking, wait a minute, they're changing things on it, because the Russo brothers have now taken control and they're doing a full story. So they're continuing on, and Kevin Feige has introduced the Mutant Saga. So whatever the Russo brothers is setting up, they're bringing the X-Men to our universe in some big way.
Yeah.
Some big way. And that means you could get all these X-Men, even new X-Men, newer heroes, and they're believing it's Battle World. They're believing it's going to be fighting all the other time. And the reason why they say this, something else happened too that it's missing. Sony did not make a contract with Marvel for the new Spider-Man. Really? So the Spider-Man movie that's happening in between is happening at the same time as Doomsday, but Spider-Man will not be in there. Yet Tom Holland has a contract to be in 2 other movies, 2 other settings, but they don't know when he is, so they're saving him for something spectacular.
They've been messing up these movies since the beginning, so it's hard to get excited about them. It really is.
Well, no, I'm not saying about getting excited at it. It's just that now with the Russo brothers back, I finally see that they're doing something with it. Because before for the 4th and 5th year or seasons, what they called, they were really aimless. The movie sucked. After the Russo brothers, that's why they said after Endgame was the last movie that the Russo brothers did. They helped with Civil War. They did Infinity War. They helped with other movies and stuff to create the whole thing with Thanos. They left after that, and kind of Marvel's been lost since then.
Yeah.
So right now they're picking it up and going with the torch again. So they've been buzzed like crazy. So the Ned Campbell was broke just a few minutes ago. That's a new that just popped out right now. That's coming on the feeds and the lines on it. that she was just raw cast for it. So there's other things that are going to come up within the next month for it, and as closer we get to the Fantastic Four, that's going to happen. So the second showing of the Sheriffs has not been shown yet. There's more people going to come up with it between the two movies.
As long as they just stick to good writing.
Yeah.
The movies would have you believe that, the X-Men and the Defenders and the Avengers have certain members that are team members all the time and forever. That just doesn't happen. There's a constant rotation of membership in the Avengers, the Defenders, the New Mutants, the West Coast Avengers, X-Factor, X-Men, even Fantastic Four. The Thing leaves for a while and She-Hulk fills in as their muscle until he comes back. So they don't even have, they haven't had Iceman really in any of the X-Men movies, and he's the wild guy in the beginning in the very first run of X-Men in the 60s.
Keep your things up because there's still hidden ones that they're talking to. Like I said, other things are going to be revealed. So what you're talking about now, what they're aiming for is to do what they did in the comics, a big crossover. So you're going to see a lot of favorite ones because they got some of the original ones back in, and they're holding some close to the vest. So what they're talking about, like My Time to Shine Hello, says something big is happening, and he's trying to figure out more. Alan Rickman confirmed, also the guy from Film Threat.
Alan Rickman
said,
he's dead. Guy.
Yeah.
He's no longer.
No. It's another. He's got the same name, but it's not Alan Rickman, but Alan.
Oh, okay.
Rickman. He's for Vanity.
He's not doing anything. Well, he's probably. I don't know. Hopefully, he moved on, or maybe he's back. Who knows?
No, but he collaborated it.
From the grave.
So what happens is, no, we're not talking about the same Alan Rickman. They share the same name. Pure attempt at humor,
Hey, so
but,
I gotta call him. Get him. I gotta get the bad
so,
jokes when I can.
All right, get dad jokes out there. But something's big's happening. So when you look at it, there's more coming out that's breaking out for it. So like I said, the Russo brothers is doing something big. Now, Marvel's in a slump because of the movies that they got and some of the directors that they had from the Eternals and so forth. So I think they're trying to correct course by giving everybody what they always wanted to see. So the rumor has it it's going to be an X-Men versus Avengers, then eventually versus God Emperor Doom. They're doing the whole excursions. They're doing the whole battle world.
Aren't they doing the Secret Wars too?
Secret Wars has already been kind of done.
Yeah.
They botched that up already. So Secret Wars they botched up. So that's why I think they went to Battle World, and I think they went to this big Nexus event because they kind of screwed up the one with the scrolls and the first part of Secret Wars. So they're going on to the other part, and they were going to do that with the Kane dynasty and with the Council of Canes and all that, but they kind of screwed that up. They didn't set that up properly. They kind of nerfed it. So now they're going with something entirely different.
We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. They either alter the... sound like a broken record. It's always hard to cram 60-plus years of story into a 2-hour movie. And Hollywood has this disgusting fascination of 3. We'll just make 3 movies.
Yeah,
we'll just make 3 movies.
They do.
You're just going to fuck up a bunch of storylines all at once in 3 movies.
Well, I see why they're doing it because it kind of makes sense. Because instead of introducing new X-Men, they're introducing X-Men we know. So they don't have to do origins for them. They don't have to do anything for them. So they can kind of hit the ground running. Because these are all X-Men stories that were told in the previous movies. Yeah. The only thing is, you have to watch those movies to catch up if you haven't watched them.
Half the X-Men origin stories could be done in flashbacks anyway.
Yeah. So that's why I think...
Not to cut down their powers, but some of them... Like Beast, he's from a loving family. He just happens to be a mutant.
Yeah.
I was texting you guys, too. Apparently, I turned off my mobile... anyway. I'm at Beth's. I'll be home in like 2 minutes. Anyway. Oh, so, go ahead. What'd you say? Technology
Yeah.
is a bitch. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
is
technology is a fickle bitch.
fickle bitch.
She is not kind.
uh, I'm afraid of the new movies. I mean, not the actors never disappoint. They're told what to do by a director. They're following the script. You know, if you don't like a certain actor, then you're probably not going to watch the movie. But if there's enough good actors to counter the actor you don't like, you normally watch the movie. But the Marvel movies and the DC movies have been hit and miss lately. So,
No, I agree with you on that. I agree with you that they didn't get the right people to do it and stuff. So I think they're trying to correct, and hopefully they're not overcorrecting.
see. We'll just have to see.
That could be a big thing, because right now they're shooting pickups and stuff on it. So I think they're trying to correct these last two movies before coming. Because really, before Doomsday comes out, the only movie you have left is the Fantastic Four. So the Fantastic Four has a lot pivoting on it. And the next spoiler that I have is that, again, if you guys don't want to hear spoilers or something, but because of what's happening, it kind of lets you know what's going to happen in the movie.
I'm going to watch it
Fantastic Four,
anyway. Spoilers don't bother me.
yeah, I'm just telling them on it, is that the only reason why the Fantastic Four winds up in our universe is that in their universe, Galactus wins, destroys the Earth and destroys them, because they're in their shuttle, and I forget what they call it, like the Ark, interdimensional. So they left their universe trying to go back. That he might have won, and they got shot out of their universe, kind of like what happened with the Hulk, where he warns them that Thanos is coming. The Fantastic Four may be warning us that Galactus or something else is coming, or whatever happens at the end.
Galactus.
Unless,
Go ahead.
unless they change the ending, because that's what they said earlier. That unless that or Doom ends the rest of it, and Doom's coming, because they're going to be a forebearer of something bad coming.
The harbinger of sorrows.
The Harbinger, yeah. So they said the Fantastic Four may lose the battle. It may be a big battle, and they might win the little skirmish or the war, but they're going to wind up losing it, and they're going to wind up just like Hulk being sent back to warn the rest of the Avengers to come up because I'm on it. That's what the Fantastic Four is going to be.
Oh my God, Stella.
And if it's their ship, they're saying that their universe might be a goner.
Oh, that's an interesting storyline. I mean,
Yeah. Which the other thing that leads to it, that the Silver Surfette that everybody's calling it may not make it out of the movie, and it may lead to Norrin Radd showing up in a little bit of it, because she was, again, this is speculation territory, that she was so ill received that they did pick up shots right now. And remember, the Russo brothers are doing these shots to help set up Doomsday and what's coming forth.
right.
So the Fantastic Four's already been filmed, but they're refilming shots to add context or something to it. So this is Russo brothers putting their hand into it. So the Fantastic Four is going to be already shown in the new Avengers, and going to play a big part, because they were already announced to be part of the team in Doomsday, because all of the actors are in the chair reveal.
Well, it was what I was trying to explain to Christine early on. It's like, isn't it like, and it's like the JLA is DC, and that's like this organization where they're either a part of it or they're not a part of it, and that's okay. With Marvel, they all live in the same area, so eventually they kind of form a loose knit society because it's such a small group, and they all kind of have to fucking keep saving the world constantly for whatever reason. So they all get to know one another. That's why it's like the best ending of all the movies is the first Avengers movie, how they all just kind of go and hang out after the problem's done, because that's how it is in the comics. The
Mm.
problem's done. They don't have to be their alter egos anymore. They're allowed to just be normal humans. Let's just go back to being normal humans. And that's one of the beauties that they haven't gotten into a lot. They only do it in the first movie.
Yeah, they don't do that. They don't do that in the later movies with it. But I think they did that because they wanted to keep the story going on it. Because if you remember the big hype when they had Infinity War and they did Endgame, they left it on a major cliff note with Thanos.
Well,
And they wanted to move the story, get right into it right away
yeah.
because they had a lot to cover.
With the
They had a lot to cover.
with the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, they all live in the same place. So it's easy to get them together and to go do something. With the Avengers and a lot of the other groups, well, there's a reason it's Avengers Assemble, because they're usually off doing their own thing. The Hulk's in South America, and Captain America's out in Oregon, and Mockingbird and Hawkeye are over there, and so you need to like assemble them to get them to do something. Where with the Fantastic Four, it's more like, Ben, where are you? I'm in the basement. Well, come up to the roof. We have to leave. What? Why? It's more
Well,
of like that.
Yeah. Well, you might have brought into something on it because something was part in it, but I don't know if it's a spoiler or really anything with it. Is that there might be two Avengers teams
Oh, right on.
because in Captain America, Anthony Mackie's character was supposed to start another Avengers team, but in Thunderbolts, it's announced that the Thunderbolts are the new Avengers. So I don't think we're introduced to the actual Avengers from the Anthony Mackie Captain America team yet. So you might get the West Coast Avengers, you might get something else, because that was the ending of Captain America. Brave New World. He was supposed to assemble by the president a brand new Avengers team. So with that, because I haven't seen the movies on it, so they might be two battling different opposing Avengers team fighting for the right. Because remember, it's X-Men versus the Avengers. Then in the last one, the Secret Wars, it's going to be those fighting against Doctor Doom. So you may have more than one Avengers, different teams. Because you know as well as I do, you had more than one Avengers team. West Coast Avengers, Defenders, you name. You had all sort of different subsets of Avengers.
So much crap going on in the Marvel Universe that you can't have just one group doing so. It's the best question that Christine asked in '99 when we first started. And what does Iron Man do? Does he go after bank robbers? Actually, no. That's more a Spider-Man or Daredevil, because the way the heroes are divided up, they kind of not just altered human, mutant, alien, high-tech wonder, but they're street level, they're medium crisis, and then there's, the Avengers.
Black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could do there's so many episodes with either Doctor Doom fighting the Fantastic Four or Galactus fighting the Fantastic Four, and they could really they've only touched on Galactus, and they didn't really give him a real presence in the second Fantastic Four movie. And he's a major baddie. They don't interact with him at all in any of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies that I've seen, which everybody goes on and on about. Dude, people shit their pants when they hear Galactus is coming. He's way scarier than Thanos. He could beat the crap out of Thanos, but nobody wants to talk about that.
No.
The gauntlet. No. Okay, Galactus doesn't need the gauntlet. He can just eat your world.
No.
That's way more terrifying than.
Well, the gauntlet, the power of the gauntlet could be enough to draw Galactus anyways.
Oh my God!
That's
Yeah,
a
he'd be like,
tasty morsel.
"What? Yeah, what's
Yep.
that over there?" You know,
Give me this. I'm going to eat it.
they never show how he swims through the universe, but I always picture
Yeah.
Galactus doing the breaststroke. La la la, big giant goofy hat. Hey, what's that? You know.
And people don't realize the power of Galactus because he's the last living remnant of his own universe. And he went into another universe, started consuming. He's got the power of Cosmic. So he's one of the few entities that can travel multi-universes if he wants to, because he's a constant. So the problem with it is that he might destroy that universe, but now he sets his eyes on this universe where the Fantastic Four fled.
If
You know,
Silver Surfer and Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, cannot reason with Galactus not to eat the Earth and to leave our solar system alone, it takes all of the superheroes of Earth to defeat him. Not some, not most, not half, all of them, and some help from villains. Like even Magneto realizes, oh, this guy's a real problem. Oh, look, he has metal. So, I mean, it's Galactus is a real problem. Thanos, this guy, is a simp, simping for death. And granted, it's Aubrey Plaza, and
yeah,
it's hard not to simp for her. She's on the list with so many others: Madeline Kahn and Amy Adams. And
yeah.
Annie
But that was
Potts.
a good reveal in Agatha that she was Mistress Death.
Yeah,
Um,
that was
but
that
that
was
could
cute.
be the threat. That was cute. That was cute how they did that.
But for the
But
most
that
part, Galactus is not. Galactus could probably be an equivalent to Darkseid for the DC
yeah,
world.
he's more on that upper level, or the Spectre for DC.
Mm,
Well, and think about it. If they bring Galactus forward visually, I mean, if they bring it rather than just the idea, the thought, this thing that's off to the side, Galactus, that is this incredible, overpowering condition, then they to keep the franchises flowing, they have to bring in those beings that exist in the universe that can be Galactus nemesis, that are his equal or his betters, but maybe don't really give a shit until Galactus does something that they say, you know what, you need to stop that because you're harshing my buzz, dude.
yeah,
Knock it off. And we've seen that. I mean, that came about over time in the comic. Galactus, oh my God, here's the big baddie. Here's the big baddie, and he did something, and somebody steps in and says, Galactus, stop.
yeah.
And Galactus has to go, all right, I'll go over here.
Oh, no, you're right. And there are beings that could beat the piss out of Galactus, but they just don't give a crap about the Earth. They don't care. We're
Exactly, they
ants
don't
to
care
them.
about it.
There's no.
He has to do something to piss them off or to upset them or to upset a balance. If there's something here, someone here that they're watching or waiting for or listening to or something like that, then that's when they show up. Think of it, it's the Doctor Who complex.
Yeah.
The bad guy comes, they're screwing everything up. You stepped on something that I care about or that I'm interested in or that I'm watching. And now I have to tell you to rethink your life's choices.
You know, it's funny that you said that because somebody brought it in going to My Time to Shine, said a theory on why Galactus eats planets. And in the Marvel movie universe, this kind of makes sense. Because in the Eternals, they said in every universe, they put a seed of a celestial on a planet. And when a planet gets up to a certain level, the celestial is born and a new celestial comes out. Well, Galactus is a cosmic form of nature, so to speak. He consumed those planets, and they said that I wonder if he's attracted to the Earth where the Fantastic Four is, because we already know on our Earth we had Tenement from the Eternals was a celestial on our planet, and he died to save the planet or gave up his strength on it. Other Earths might have had a celestial in it, and he's going after him. So because we have Tenement, and that's what the whole battle in Falcon, the Captain America, was over the antimanium of the body of the Celestial. That's the whole thing what they're battling about. So he could be coming out because he's there, checks and balances to keep Celestials, because remember, he's on the level of Celestials, in check.
would
Because
make
he's not a good, no bad. He just consumes planets.
Galactus isn't inherently. He's more neutral evil than anything
Yeah.
else because he's not chaotic. He's not diabolical. He's not. He's more. No, I'm going
I
to
would.
change that. I would say he's lawful neutral.
Lawful neutral.
That's
That
what
would
I
be
was going
good.
to say. I wouldn't call him evil because he doesn't. It's more along the lines of I have a set path, I have a set standard. I'm not doing this out of malicious intent. I'm doing this to continue my own existence,
Yes.
and I have certain rules that I will apply if I have been given reason enough to make an adaptation or an adjustment.
Yes.
So I would say he's lawful neutral because he's not interested in anything at that level.
No.
He really
Also,
isn't. You
yeah.
have to provide him a reasoning.
Also, I would say that Galactus is like a snake or a shark where he doesn't have to eat. Well, first off, I want to agree with the celestial seeds because that answers so many questions because Galactus won't go to dead areas. That's the whole point of having a herald is to send them there. And it would also because Galactus has his power level dips and it goes up and down. So if he was feeding on celestial embryos per se via planets, that makes a lot of sense in the story arc because he would have to, it'd be like a form
Yeah.
of cannibalism. He'd have to keep going. It'd be like a drug addiction.
Yeah. And
Oh,
otherwise, like
you're on
again,
this. That's on. Oh,
he doesn't feed on dead planets, and he looks for a specific one. And the heroes are there to warn people: if you're there, leave
leave.
because
You
it's
need to
going to be
go.
consumed. He's giving them a warning, and he does feed on live planets. He has to. So the biggest thing, what they said in the cut trailer, and somebody brought this to attention again. Another theory is that when you look at the Eternals with the emergence of Tiamat and how they show the vision of the planet blowing up, is the same visuals that you see in the Fantastic Four trailer. So inadvertently, they might have gave up the end of the trailer or something that happens to another universe. Could you see the same shot of that thing being consumed? You don't know by what, but the whole planet being consumed. So Galactus eating, Celestials makes sense because Celestials have fought Galactus, but Galactus has beaten Celestials.
I
So
just looked
Galactus,
something up here,
okay,
and it strikes an interesting point. It says the Phoenix Force in its full power
yeah,
is a primordial force of cosmic life and death with the potential to be more powerful than Galactus. If you're bringing in the X-Men, particularly the X-Men from the previous movies, Jean Grey in that last one suddenly becomes the Phoenix, but we never see
no,
the detail of that at that time. So the Kelsey Grammer time frame. So now you've got your entity that can turn Galactus. So if Galactus shows up, there's this grand finale battle. And who shows up out of the depths of space where she disappeared because she was trying to figure out what's going on? The Phoenix shows up, and now Galactus stops and goes, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
And the amazing thing that you said, Rob, that's another hidden rumor of why they didn't show everybody. Because for Monica Jensen, the lady that played in the original X-Men, Jean Grey, that Wolverine killed her, is supposed to be coming back, but they didn't say anything yet. So it still might be working contracts for Secret Wars, the second part of the movie. So what you said, Rob, may come to pass because they didn't put Hugh Jackman into this movie Doomsday. So they might be saving the full X-Men for the second part, Doomsday,
you
because
you have to
not just
remember that she killed Cyclops in
yep,
that sequence, in that
that's
in that final closing. She killed Cyclops because they walk through and they find his eye protection is just floating there, along with everything else. Oh, something has happened,
happened.
and so now we know that she's gone to the next level, and everyone thinks the potential was that she's killed in the tsunami, but you also see the sudden rush of something that takes off out of the water.
No, even in the comics,
We all figured that.
she's out in space. But
Yeah.
Cyclops, Iceman, and Marvel Girl Jean Grey are all Omega level powerful mutants from the very beginning. Now, Beast, he's more mentally Omega level than he is with his. I mean, yeah, he has amazing physical attributes and can move around like a primate, but it's more his intelligence than anything else. And then Angel is, well, he flies and his family's rich. X Mansion, here we come. So, being the fact that Jean Grey is already super powerful, when the Encron crystal picks her and she becomes the Phoenix, she's not really needed on Earth anymore. But you're right, Galactus does shit his pants anytime she shows up. So,
oh yeah. So
if
he's here,
story, well done.
yeah. If he shows up and she senses that, and there's a part of her that may still be looking at Earth. Okay, Earth is my home. Earth is where I'm from. A portion of me still knows, feels, and loves and cares for. So now, Earth is now being threatened openly. Not just a herald being there, but Galactus has now entered this area, this sector of space. That might be where you pull. There's your closing. All of a sudden, Galactus is making his way, and there's a sudden bright flash. Galactus kind of steps up, and that's where you close it. So,
and another thing that happened, that they might be introducing another more Omega level powered mutant. Okay, in the Fantastic Four, Sue Storm is pregnant, which means Reed Richards' son Franklin. Franklin Richards, when they see the ship, happens 11 months later from the ending of the Fantastic Four, 11 or 14 months later. So what happens? There's going to be a time jump. So Franklin Richards is an Omega mutant, level mutant, equivalent, if not more powerful than the Phoenix Force. But Frankie Jensen is coming back. They're in talks with her with it. Kelsey Grammer saying he's already filming shots right now as the Beast. So they're filming it right now. So something is happening. But when you introduce Franklin Richards and you're bringing her back, what is that telling you? Something's happening in between the two. And it could be something big. And maybe not in Doomsday, but in Secret Wars movie itself, because they're in negotiation. And remember, they're talking to Halle Berry, but I think they already signed a contract. They just haven't announced it yet. I think they're holding it for something else. So I think what happens, because you're bringing everybody back with the exception of a couple actors, but all the main characters from the X-Men Fox universe. Kelsey Grammer's already signed on. He's already filming. He's already gave interviews saying that he's doing stuff for Marvel right now.
They're not going to do Angela Bassett
so they're not
as Storm the way it should be.
They're not. But Halle Berry, well, they could have got the young actors. Remember, they could have got but none of those are coming back. So they're doing the old actors, the original actors from it. Mm-hmm. And the reason why they're saying it is because Kevin Feige was a producer on all those movies. So he might have a little bit, heartfelt for it. So he's bringing back those original X-Men as the main X-Men so far into our universe. Because he's not doing none of the young characters.
Potentially equal to Galactus is the Rune King 4.
Yep.
So now we've got three opportunities here that we can present. So you've got Franklin Richards, who is a reality bending capacities when fully realized.
Psychometry.
You've got the Phoenix, which is just another level beyond. And I hadn't even thought of Rune King 4, which has basically takes on all of Odin's powers, all of Odin's capacities. So now you've got, and each one of those three easily plays into this because you brought those groups together. You brought all of those groups together in this, so it wouldn't be different. Now that would be a major overflex if they brought those three into one film. That does no good because now you've taken it to now you've got to either end the sequence,
Yeah.
or you've got to come up with somebody who's, it's like what is it, Mel Brooks, 2,000-year-old man. There's something bigger than Sid. So if
Yeah.
you've got these three immense powers and they beat the hell out of Galactus, now we've got to come up with something bigger than Galactus because you just brought in three, universe-ending entities in one place.
I think
So you got to be careful with how much you throw.
Ghost Rider is another one that can go toe to toe with
Yeah.
Galactus.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can
But
win, but I know he can just beat him
he can
down.
hold his own again.
Yeah. Ghost Rider's
I think you're onto something, Rob. I
Yeah.
think you're really onto something because Chris Hemsworth is signed up for another deal, and they're penning another Thor. So it's God War or something. So you might be onto something about Rune King Thor, and this may be the combination of how he becomes it. He may not be in time for like Doomsday, but due to Secret War battles, he might become Rune King Thor to even out the sides.
Right, because the character thus far in all of the Marvel films, we are to the point where he is now technically, he has taken Odin's place.
Yeah.
But he has not assumed, or he does not understand that he now has Odin's power as he takes that role. And that's where Rune King Thor comes in, because now he recognizes and embraces the fact, oh, I am now the new Odin. I am the one who takes control of and has the power over the Aesir and all of the 9 realms. This is my role now. And so
Oh,
that would
wow.
be an interesting path. That would be a hell of an interesting game.
You're into. I've forgotten about Rune King Thor because Tom Hiddleston's coming back, and at the end of Loki, he became the god of stories to hold the tree together. At the end of Loki, so he ascended rather than the god of mischief. He's the god of stories now. So Loki's coming back in Doomsday. So to bring him back, I think you're onto something. That the next big thing, because Chris Hemsworth is in Doomsday, so Thor is probably going to become just like how he upgraded to Stormbreaker in the Infinity War to fight
Yep.
Thanos. He became more powerful. I think at the end, if not here by Secret Wars, he's going to become Rune King Thor, and I think that's probably going to be the send off for Thor because he'll become Odin and create a new Asgard and go off, and they'll probably because even Chris Hemsworth saying that he wants a good story and he wants Thor to end on a high note, and I can't see him.
Well,
See,
one of the problems is that I've just watched a lot of the movie reviews. I haven't kept up with the movies, but we just keep emasculating Thor. Now, Thor in the comics and Thor in the movies are actually two different kind of Thors. Thor in the comics is pretty serious. He's pretty driven. He's not as aloof and goofy as he is in the movies. That happens only in little short glimpses when they're really become friends over time. Yeah, other than that, Thor in the comics is how he is in the beginning of the Avengers. But as the movie progresses, Thor kind of relaxes. That doesn't happen in the comics for a very long time because he's an Asgardian, he's a god, and he's in the Avengers. So he's got a lot of shit going on. The problem is with love and war and all these other, we've just been like, he might as well be Homer Simpson from the way that they portray him in a lot of the movies because he's just become this idle dolt instead of this paladin. I mean, the way that Stan Lee was no historian, the way that Thor talks, he might as well be a knight from the 1600s in the comic books. Oh, my lord, by this and that. But because Stan Lee didn't understand how Vikings talked and he didn't do his research, and that's fine. We don't, it's a fantasy. It's okay. You're going to need to take some you're going to, extend disbelief and just deal with the fact that a guy in New York.
Some artistic liberties.
Exactly. The same thing with Captain America. Captain America is really relaxed in the movies. Captain America in the comics he might as well be Cyclops. He's very uptight. He's very driven because he was a little tiny guy all of his life. And he has small man's disease. Even when he's over 6 feet tall, he still has that mindset. Granted, just like in the first, I hate Captain America, but I really enjoyed, Haley Atwell has a lot to do with it. I really enjoyed the Captain America First Avenger, and it's kind of the double-edged sword with Steve Rogers. Yes, he's got small man syndrome, but he also knows what it's like to be picked on. Like he says when she's driving him around. I got beat up in that alley. I got my ass kicked in that alley. Some guy beat me up there. Because there are dudes that just walk around and want to beat other dudes up because they have all these... They got their own issues. I'm not going to analyze each person. We don't have time for that. Anyway, that's...
Well, what would you feel? Because one of the other rumors, but it hasn't been established yet, but they're talking about it because they're in talks with Chris Evans of coming back because they got Robert Downey Jr.'s back, that he might be a Captain Hydra.
Okay, hold on. Now you've opened a whole where's my soapbox?
Because they're in talk with him and Scarlett Johansson coming back also as an evil version of Black Widow. Because remember...
Just bring her back so we can watch her walk in the... Anyway.
Oh, yeah. But the thing they're doing with the battles because they brought Robert Downey Jr.
all these weird numbers calling... I'm sorry, everybody. Sorry, go ahead.
So they're bringing back evil versions of the heroes that we loved. So there've been talks about Chris Evans coming back, but he said only if it's a good story and only if it's worthwhile. But he doesn't want to continue to Captain America. So he's not continuing our Captain America. Same like Robert Downey Jr. didn't want to undo Iron Man's death. He wanted to stay symbolic. So everyone was speculating, well, if you're coming back as Doctor Doom, and you are Doctor Doom, and supposedly maybe the Doctor Doom, well, he has an entourage that comes with him. His own form like Avengers. It could have the Captain Hydra. It could have other people on the team, other superheroes.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you were talking about the whole, I'm Captain America, and I've been a Hydra agent all along. That's just such a played-out trope. I see what you're saying now. No, okay, yes, it's basically the Justice Lord's storyline, but I would love to. I want to see it anyway because, for me, it's okay. You love the actor and you love that character, but it's a real stretch of their acting talent to play the same character with the opposite set of moral code, and they do this so many times in so many different shows. My favorite being Red Dwarf. That's the most hilarious one. But it's common for a sci-fi telling genre. So I'm all for this. And it happens in the comics all the time. Oh my God. Whether it's a clone or an alternate reality, or pick one.
Because to do an alternate reality as Steve Richards or Natasha, that's good. But it's not going to hit you in the feels like in Secret Wars, the next movie after Doomsday, that he shows up as Captain America and you find out later that he's actually evil and he's Captain Hydra. And that would hit everybody in the feels, especially Bucky, which he's part of the new commander of the new Avengers.
Yeah.
To fight him. And think of Yelena right now, who was also in it, that's in the movie Doomsday, has to fight a copy of her sister that's evil or bloodthirsty.
It's stupid because Marvel, since the 90s, they really don't know what the fuck they're doing. I hate to say it. It was Marvel 90s kind of peaked what Marvel was. So when you marry, I don't know what I'm doing, Marvel with Hollywood, they just, it's the way the Joker describes, I'm just a dog chasing cars, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't have a plan. And that's what it seems like. Because we all have the memories the smell of the comic book store, waiting in line, talking to other readers, going to conventions. The conventions now are more anime conventions than they are actual comic book conventions. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not against manga. I embrace it. I'm trying. I enjoy it. I stood in line in 1989 to watch Akira.
Oh yeah, good
One of
movie.
remember Shea Cinemas didn't
Shea
stand.
Station.
Yeah,
Shea 14. Yeah,
down
I
there at
remember.
32nd Street and Shea. It didn't last long after. I think that's where we saw it.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It was down before they were building up the Squaw Peak, the Squaw Peak when they were coming out there.
It was
That
a
theater right there
laundromat.
for the
Now
theater.
it's the world has changed so much. Anyway, that just I the art of storytelling is the art of suspense. And when like everybody that's in Hollywood making these movies, you guys please enter into poker tournaments so people can take all your money because you have absolutely no concept of the long con, the long story. They've been making James Bond movies for 60 fucking years, and they're going to make them for another 60. But we only get 3 superhero movies? I don't have enough. Give me some.
Finger.
This one.
Yeah.
Like that. And this. I hate that this means, hey, I need a ride in America, but it means fuck you in France. That's wrong. That's just wrong. Why is it that extreme? Or isn't this another one? What's that?
You remember from Taxi? Latka's home country?
Oh, that's what
that was the ultimate insult. That was the equivalent of everything else.
Right up their hole there. Yeah, that just
you know what I think is going on. Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but in those days that we remember, there was a strong top unifying driver, and that was Stan Lee. Stan Lee had a wide enough vision that he pulled everybody together, and he said, "Okay, we can do this. We can make this kind of a stretch. We can do this, but we've got to keep our eyes focused on this end game. This is the direction that we want to go." When Stan Lee left, there was nobody that had that same vision and that same overarching idea. So we've got new people that have come in. Think about what these new people have been groomed on and grown up with, learned from. The Hollywood standards that you have been railing against for so long. These are the folks that are now in their 40s that are learning this, that are taking over these positions, trying to drive this, but they don't understand that same idea. Even in the comic book industry, look at the comic books that are out there, and they go so far afield. They go in so many different directions. It's, it's like watching a child who's got horrible autism because they can't focus on a single thing. Okay, I'm looking here. Oh, something just popped over there. Oh, I'm looking here again. Now something just popped over there. So they're constantly moving to these other ideas. They're getting drawn away, and they can't get drawn back to stay in that process. So that's why you see so many of these titles with the alternate universe, alternate reality, alternate opportunity, alternate condition. It's a great way to make money. It's a great way to draw in a wider base because now I can speak to 10 times the number of kids and young adults that I could have spoken to 25 years ago because I have given them, everybody's now got something that they can touch on. And that's what they've been looking for. They're looking for that opportunity to give everybody a chance to touch on it. And then you see those offshoots kind of following a pathway. But there's so many of these offshoots. That's why the multiverse actually makes sense in where we're at today with comic books. Because now you can go into you can have a Hello Kitty universe where Hello Kitty is also Spider-Man and Doomsday and, whatever else you want to throw in there, and the people that are looking for it buy into it. They're happy to have it. They're going to run with it. The creators are excited because somebody else sees my vision and I can do it now.
We can market
Great.
this.
Have a good time.
Yeah.
Exactly. Have a good time. I can tell this story. I can continue to tell this story, but there isn't a single unifier in that world right now. That's where we've got some difficulties. Disney might be able to do that, but Disney is primarily driven by their brand, which is family.
Yeah.
It's got to be family friendly, no matter what it is. Disney would never do the Bridges of Madison County. Not family enough. You've got a love story, and it's not a proper love story, and these two people shouldn't really be together. So you can't go that direction. But they can do these things where I can bring in family, and I can go to PG-13. I'll push that level, but no more than. Guy and I were talking about it early on with the things he brought up. Those movies could easily go to an R rating, and not because of sex or anything else. It's going to be violence and destruction and things like that, because that's what this really builds and brings in. That's what the comic books portray. It'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, from the 70s on, the comics were super violent because the heroes weren't having sex. Sex in the comics was talk before and talk after and alluded to, which is what I wanted to do with Worldwide Villains. And it's like, when R-rated comics, well, then they're going to be sex and rape and all that. No, dude, language and violence. What's wrong with you? Why does your mind go right there? And most people...
It's like, this is not Penthouse Comics.
This is adult
I'm not doing Penthouse forums.
I want to kill people, so it has to be R-rated, because if you have PG or PG-13, only one or two people are going to die in this story because, well, it's realism isn't the focus. The moral of the story is the focus the younger you get. So art imitates life, and DC and Marvel imitate each other. And you even see that with like Wakanda and Gorilla City, where you have these utopias that are disguised as either poverty or just open Kalahari, and the different contrasts of the same things. And in that same dichotomous scope, you have Batman really knows everyone in the DC universe because he has a file on everyone. Where in Marvel, S.H.I.E.L.D. may have a file on everyone, but more Spider-Man, Daredevil, and Professor X are kind of watching everyone because they run across them in their path. They're just out there. They're just, living life. And, here's a new hero. Here's a new villain. And they're handled. Most people are enamored with Spider-Man, so they want to be his friend. And he's like, whoa, he has...
Go back to what Rob said. Rob's absolutely true. He hit on something that people didn't know what you were talking about, Bill. Is that you ever heard the term fridging?
Fridging?
It's an actual term, and it means about storytelling. And it happened because of Green Lantern. Going back to what you were saying, Bill, in one of the stories, Kyle Rayner, the newest Green Lantern, becomes Ion, and he goes from the planet to do Green Lantern things. His girlfriend is killed, stuffed into a fridge, and he comes back to his apartment to find her in the fridge. So the story writer kills off the girlfriend to progress his storyline. So they use the term fridging as when they take a love interest, kill her off to progress the male storyline. It becomes so prevalent. People were so appalled because of the act of violence and what he did with her that it wasn't because it was sex or nothing. They were lovers and so forth. It was always implied but never shown.
Kyle
but
should
it was
be
the
thankful. He's got a terrible haircut.
But it was that act of violence. That act of violence, that's Guy Gardner, who's got the terrible haircut.
Oh, it's Guy.
But
I'm sorry. Kyle looks normal.
He looks like a guy.
Guy's the one that looks like Mo from the Three Stooges.
Mo, yeah. He
That's the one that
because of that.
Batman tortures. Oh, sorry, guy. Go ahead.
No, yeah, Guy Gardner's the one that Batman tortures. Carl Rayner is the one that became the White Lantern. He's the next one as important as Hal Jordan. But yeah, they killed off his girlfriend and stuff on it. So there's been violence in comic books for a long time. It's just that the modern media finally caught up to it and realized when they realized the Batman stories. Look at the Long Halloween. Look at the Batman stories itself. The killing.
Hold on. Let's go back to what you were just saying in the early '60s, dude. Aunt May is in the fucking intensive care unit every 5 issues because of natural causes, or she was too close to the Green Goblin, or Electro showed up, or the Rhino was nearby.
He's been shot. He fell from a building. So there's always impact. There's always something that's emergency on it, regardless.
I want to go off on another. Sally Fields is hot. No one's taking that away from her, but Aunt May is 90 years old, not 65. And I hate that they're making Aunt May younger and younger and younger in each iteration of the movies. No, dude. Uncle Ben and Aunt May were super old when they adopted Peter. And all of it's sketchy why they adopted him. They never, it's a mystery. So the fact that they make her younger each time just erodes from it pisses me off. That's scary, Spider-Man. That's how she should be.
The one how I see Aunt May wasn't Sally Field, was the one from the Sam Raimi, that actress.
Yes, 100%.
She was Aunt May. Yeah, she was Aunt May to me, 100%.
No, what's her name from Batteries Not Included and Driving Miss Daisy?
Yeah, I forget what that actress name. Great actress.
Jessica Tandy. She should be Aunt fucking May.
She was perfect for it, and that's the embodiment of Aunt May. That's who she was.
I absolutely love Meg. Oh God, what's her name from They Live and Masters of the Universe? She's got those crystal blue eyes.
If you were going to do Aunt May today, modern kids to recognize and draw in, it's got to be Annie Potts. You got to let her build the character, because she could throw a little bit of Mima from Young Sheldon, and she could throw in a little bit of Janine, and she could throw in a little bit of was it the one where they were the 4 ladies that had the decorator and company and all the rest of that stuff.
Designing women.
Designing women.
I've seen it.
Could you see
1 or 2 episodes?
Could you see Aunt May doing that? Being a little tough, a little bit of an ass kicker, and then
it was this 2010. We have to make every character sexy. No, you don't. You do not need to do that. Grandmas do not need to be sexy to a younger generation. Only to grandpas. That it has to be familiar to the age group. So
that's where they went. That's when they went crazy. Because if you ever noticed that, that's when they took at that time a married Peter Parker and they put him way back in the beginning of high school, and they made Aunt May hot. They made her younger. They took everything back, but they took it too far. Because the Peter Parker I lived to was in high school, graduated, and was in college. So he was always working for the Daily Bugle. He was always hustling. He was better when he was in college than he was in high school. Yeah,
those movies are the equivalent to DC of the animated The Batman. Dude, you don't need to make the most emo superhero we've ever had more emo. Okay, he already has the title. We're going to make him a teenager. That, and I love the Joker, and I just absolutely hate the iteration of the Joker in The Batman, because he doesn't have, there's no suave delivery. He's just a mental patient that's climbing on the walls. Dude, this isn't the Joker. This is the Creeper. They're 2 totally different characters. The Joker is a slob trying to convince everybody that he's this great, charismatic, wonderful person, because that's part of the joke. He's not some guy hanging on the side of a building. Oh, I can't stand that cartoon. The more I tried to watch it, the more it pissed me off. It's like this just isn't.
No,
It's
I know
terrible.
which one that you're talking about. Yeah, I know what
Because
you're
they
talking
made
about.
Batman like 18.
Yeah,
No,
they,
did you
they
read the story?
that one, the Batman, that one, the new one they did. It looked like they took Batman Beyond
Yeah.
and kind of perverted the story
Yes.
to make the new one.
Where Batman Beyond is awesome. I have the DVD. It's right there. It's
Batman Beyond.
amazing, and it's the next step, evolutionary step of Batman. 80 years. What is it? 80, 60 years?
80,
No,
yeah,
because
80 or 60.
Bruce is like in his late 80s when he runs into Terry. Because he can still fight and stuff, but he's an old man. He uses the dog.
Oh, yeah,
And
he uses the dog and
then
his cane.
they tie it into Amanda Waller and the JLA and Project Cadmus, and you know, because the Justice Lords will beat the shit out of the military every single time. So they had to invent Project Cadmus to kind of counteract the superheroes, and but then they realized that it's going to be okay. They're not going to become the Justice Lords, and then further on they realize, wow, Batman's getting older. Yeah,
Yep.
he's not going to be around forever. Unfortunately, no. All of our heroes die. That's the problem with being a hero. You don't have a long time. So then they made the Batman Beyond project where they.
Which is interesting because Amanda Waller is not a woman to be sad or to look back on stuff. She does what she does because she needs to do it on it. To do the Batman project means she respected Bruce Wayne and Batman so much that she knew to keep on the line. So it's kind of a love letter to it because even with that story, you look at it, she didn't have to do that. She could have created her
Yeah.
own everything, but she did it with Bruce Wayne's DNA, which means she valued who he was and trying to recreate it as close as possible. Because she could have created another Batman that followed her, that was subservient to her, which could have been her initial thought. But she did that to Terry McGinnis to see what happens in it, and he still wind up, because of the DNA, finding his father, if you really think about it.
Batman is a unique hero because if you don't watch the cartoons and you don't see the movies and you don't read the comic books, he's just a guy in a bat suit.
Yeah.
No, he's a very driven character who, at a young age, had a traumatic experience. And instead of sitting around feeling sorry for himself, he used his great wealth and vast connections to become an unstoppable force of justice. Because
Yeah.
Batman is always compared to to Iron Man because Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark are both fantastically wealthy from mommy and daddy's money. What
They're
we
both technology.
and they're both technology geeks. What we don't realize is, as far as force of will goes,
Oh, yeah.
Batman is toe to toe with the Thing. Batman has
Yeah.
an unstoppable force of will and insatiable curiosity for answers. There's no holding people like that back, not even in the real world. They're going to find the answers. What is it?
Well, look. Well, look
Honesty
what you said
always
there.
finds the truth. I don't know if that's
He always finds the
Socrates.
truth. Even with Batman, look at it. Green Lantern's rings, the yellow ring, all chose him. You know, and it shows him that he can inspire fear. The Green Lantern chose him because of his will. That tells you already that the standing of him, he's like the Thing, unstoppable.
Mm.
Means he's going to find a way. If it kills him or not, he's going to find a way. Where Iron Man is a hero not by choice or circumstance. He'll fight when he fights. He does what he does. He does what he does. He helps what he does. But he's not as driven as Bruce Wayne is. So he'll go the extra mile. Well, you don't see Tony Stark. He'll do it. He'll do it when he's called upon.
Yeah.
But you only see him when he's put into the circumstance. Well, Bruce
Yeah.
Wayne will prepare for the battle ahead of time.
I would
So
say
he's
Iron. No, I agree with you 100% because I would say Iron Fist is more likened to Batman than any of the other than Iron Fist, because Danny Rand has the same.
Yeah.
Your parents are killed when you're 10 years old, and now you're
Oh yeah.
taken to a monastery, and you're just going to learn martial arts until you're 25. And bye, see you, Danny. Good luck, because it's basically kung fu, which Hollywood stole from Bruce Lee. But but you didn't hear that from me. It's in the movie. So that's all of those characters have an unstoppable force of will. Same thing with Daredevil. Same thing with the Green Lantern. Same thing with Green Arrow, if you ask me. The Flash is one of my favorite DC characters besides Batman because of the Justice Lords episode in the animated JLA Unlimited shows it best.
The Barry Allen Flash or the Wally West?
Wally West.
Is your
Wally West is my favorite. I like Michael Rosenbaum's take on the book. He's the Flash, and he's I think Deadshot. I think he's Deadshot. He does a great job, but Wally West is my favorite Flash because of his interaction with the Trickster. When you finish your drink, be sure to turn yourself in. Oh, you got me again, Flash. You know, he doesn't come in being a badass. He's not, like the way he's constantly hitting on all the women and he never gets anywhere. He's got a Falstaff kind of quality to him, which is Shakespearean, like Shaggy. He's not going to get anywhere with the girls, but you can damn near rely on him every time that there's a problem. He may not be the strongest guy, but he's going to do exactly what you told him to do, even in a life-threatening crisis. Whoa, zoinks! And the running.
And also what I liked about Wally West, I love Barry Allen. As the Flash. I like both of them.
Yeah.
But Wally West has the X factor that it's his goofy uncertainty that sometimes switches the tide of battle. Even Batman recognizes that you can't always predict him. Like Green Lantern, he can predict. He knows who he is. He knows who he's dealing with everything.
Superman.
The Wally West, Superman, he knows Wonder Woman. He can predict them because they're kind of like stuck in their ways, and they go through their patterns. But Wally West, when he needs to do something crazy, he'll do something crazy when he's pushed out of the norm. And that's the good thing about Wally West, because sometimes he comes up with defenses. And again, it could be because of story. It could be a Deus Ex Machina because of the story right stuff. But he comes up with the Speed Force, doing the lightning throws. He became creative with his powers more than Barry. And he pushed the Flash even to a more to be a more greater hero. The name of the Flash, because he did come up with some great stuff. You were like, whoa, he pushed himself further than what he ever did before. Yeah. And not taken away from Barry Allen, but I could see why you like Wally. Wally, it's Wally West, because he has that.
Wally West, Bruce Wayne. You take all the fun out of everything.
No, he's got that. He also got a gravitas too, because he cares. He's one of the heroes that actually truly cares. You don't get that from Green Lantern at times, and it depends on which Green Lantern you get. Diana can be dismissive. Batman could be confrontational or non-confrontational, like he does get. Superman cares, but Wally West shows more heart at times.
Yeah,
because he gets the feelings when you get Wally West.
I would say this. I would go one step further. I would say that all of them deeply care about humanity, but the Flash cares about every individual person of their surface needs and their surface interests. Like when you watch the cartoons, it's very, hey, am I still coming over to paint your house on Thursday? Because that'll only take him like a half an hour, but she's going to make him cookies, and that's what he wants. Because in reality, for being in, Champion City, where the Flash lives, he's after sugar. And he's easily manipulated to get him to do something, because all you need to do is give him baked goods, and he'll do it for you. He cares about cleaning up the city. He cares about the the Flash is more of a peasant hero than all of the other heroes, except for save maybe Shazam or Hawk and Dove because of their youth, or maybe Star and Stripe because of her youth. Not so much his. He's her stepdad.
You're right, because he's still got the fundamentals of youth and as a kid. Because if you look like Shazam, he's too young to be who he is. That's his head on it. He's too young of a kid. So
he's pretending to be an adult.
he's pretending,
and it's awesome. But he's still pretend. It's like Power. It's like Power Pack from Marvel. They're children.
Oh yeah,
they are
kids,
children.
Yeah.
The oldest one is only like 11. They're pretending to be adults, and the adults are like, "What? Kids?
What?
We're Spider-Man. What is this? I thought Daredevil was going to beat us up today. These are children. Holy crap! They can defy gravity. Ah! That one's rainbows hurt. You know. They don't realize that it's like the Power Pack is like the movie Six Pack when we were kids with Kenny Rogers.
Oh,
where it's
good
like
one.
They can't be a pit crew. Holy crap! These kids are a pit crew. So there, I went way back into an obscure movie. There you go. Did you strap in, Rob? Were you ready for that? Once in your life, it was on cable all the time.
But you got to think of, that might have been inspired by Six Pack.
I think it was.
It was very similar how it was written, because you had kids trying to do the right thing and take responsibility for what they had, but they were kids, so their point of origin, how they looked at things, they're kids. So they're pretending to be superheroes, how a superhero would do it. Yeah. And that's what they're trying to mimic.
Which is, I still do not understand Marvel and DC, and especially Marvel. Shame on you. We're going to make it kid-friendly. You've got Power Pack. Why don't you just make 6 Power Pack movies? Make them good. Mm-hmm. Take the storyline. I don't even remember who their villains are. I barely read any one of the comics. And do that. No. We're going to fuck up the Avengers. Just watch. Oh, okay.
Well, the biggest thing is I think they have something that it's kind of an Achilles heel to superhero movies and everything. They go with the biggest and the easiest. What can sell, what people in it. Because you make a Power Pack movie, nobody knows who Power Pack is. We'll introduce everybody to Power Pack and do it like they did with Guardians of the Galaxy. Make a compelling story, introduce them to great characters, and bring them in. And I think what happened was, like, if you guys seen Blue Beetle, if you've seen Shazam, I think they tried to do that, but what they did was, again, the writing. You take a kid character playing an adult, and you make it like a kid. It kind of becomes redundant and becomes kind of satire. So it's not taken seriously. You have an adult playing as a kid that's playing as an adult as a kid. So look at Shazam movie for example,
which was really good.
It's a good movie. I like the movie itself.
Really
and even the second one, the Thing of the Gods, was actually good.
Yeah.
I like Zach.
I like when they wrote the letter to the. What is this Gatorade? We need to do something about it.
And they got the
know
humor.
What Gatorade was? They would be freaked out,
And that's a good.
Or
and it's
when
not
the end of the first one where, hey, what are you guys doing? We don't have the same lunch. And then he shows up as Shazam. Hey, cool guy that I've never met and other kids that I don't know. And then they have Henry Cavill. Huh?
Yeah.
That whole film, the Shazam, the original first Shazam, was the closest that genre has gone to trying to bring back what Big was. When Tom Hanks pulled off that whole process, that was probably the best I have ever seen an adult step in and say, I'm going to show you what I think a kid would do if he was put into this position. The next one that came in was when Robin Williams played the character who had the Jack.
That was, oh my God, that movie makes you cry every time you want.
Nobody has been able to bring back that
Sorry,
level.
You said it.
Nobody has ever been able to bring back that level of understanding in an adult actor until Shazam, that first Shazam film, where he comes, he's like, oh yeah, I can play this like I'm thinking about it. If I was 10 years old and got this opportunity, how would I do it? Oh, this would be hilarious. And you know that's how Tom Hanks did it. Robin Williams did that with everything he ever did. But that was the point, was that ability to take your mental position and say, okay, if I was 10 years old, but I had this opportunity, I was able to present myself.
What would
How
I
would I do it? How could I get through it? You know, what knowledge do I have today that I would have been missing then that would trip me up? And how can I have fun?
That is very poignant. Yes. Well, what's another one too? The Fisher King. He's very childlike.
He's very
in the
good.
Fisher King.
Yep.
Toys. Most of the
But Jamie Lee Curtis,
toys.
Jamie Lee
Lionel
Curtis
Joseph.
did a decent job when they did the remake of Freaky Friday.
Oh my
She
God,
did a
that was
decent
really
job playing it
good.
as well. She did a really good job on that.
I look like the
So
Crypt Keeper.
There are people who can play it,
Yeah.
Yep.
but there aren't a lot of people in that genre that can do it right now that I can think of offhand.
I'm
Chris
sure they're
Hemsworth,
out there.
he's already shown that he can play an adult who's got a child's mindset because he's done that with Thor as Thor has been growing over time. Early on, Thor was a pretentious adolescent. And when he did things, then he started to learn as he went along. In the next film, he had his points where he kind of fell back to his adolescence and grew. But it wasn't to the same level. It wasn't near the same level.
They should have, honestly, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but they should have let Ang Lee do a Thor movie, not just a Hulk movie, because he did an amazing job with the Hulk movie with Eric Bana and Nick Nolte and, I'll say it slowly, Jennifer Connelly, and, Sam Elliott. He's General Ross in that film. But Thor kind of needs to be done like Dragon Ball Z, because the stories are similar, where Thor constantly has to prove himself to his father, and Loki's doing fucking bullshit that gets him to fail, and then Thor gets exiled, and it's this, there's the constant, Thor is the constant story of arc of redemption and success and failure and redemption and success and failure and redemption. It's the club sandwich that never fucking ends. The toothpicks just go on.
Classic
forever.
Greek hero tale.
Yes,
it's a classic Greek hero. Yeah, and that's
Norse.
That's right. Well, and that's where the original Norse pantheon, got some of those same tales. They carried a great many of those over because they absorbed so much of that history from everybody else. But yeah, it's that same classic Greek story that's come for millennia, and it's a trope that we know, that we love. No matter how much we may complain about it, we always go back to it because we understand it. Even if we don't consciously recognize it, there's a part of us that goes, I know that story. I feel that story. I have had to learn things. I have done things, stumbled, had to stand up and move to the next. Not to the same level. I haven't had to clean out the stables by diverting a river, but I have had to clean out my backyard and stepped in dog shit. So yeah.
Well, have you guys seen the Love and Thunder one or Love and War? You both have?
Love and Thunder, yeah.
I've seen bits and pieces. I haven't seen the whole film.
So I haven't seen it at all. Because they were missing a wonderful opportunity to take directly from Norse myth, where, what is it? The trolls, they want to tell the trolls that Freya is going to marry the king of the ice trolls, and Freya is not having any of this plan. So then Loki says, no, here's what we'll do. We'll dress Thor as you, because they have his hammer. The trolls stole his hammer, and the only way they can get it back is they want Freya to marry the king of the trolls. Does this sound familiar?
Yeah.
So they dress Thor up as Freya, and they put a veil over him, and they parade him around, and they give him to the trolls. And at one point during the ceremony, the Troll King places the hammer in the lap of his bride-to-be. And, of course, Thor can't grab that fast enough. And once he has it in his hand, oh, there was no hiding from the thunder god that day. Which really, why isn't that the main plot of that Love and Thunder? And it should have been the whole story. Like, that should have been like,
That would have been good,
nobody
but
listens to me.
Because that's not part of the Marvel mythos.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
But it would be funny.
And that's
the
where the
real
big joke is when Marvel Thor meets real Thor kicks the shit out of Marvel Thor because he says, "You destroyed me. You destroyed my entire history.
Kind of made him a laugh.
Everything
Yeah.
about me."
Yep.
Thor is pretty much Hercules with lightning powers and a hammer. That's
And
pretty much Thor.
Well, if you
and
look-
goats. He has 2 goats.
the first movie I liked about Thor was good, and even in the first Avengers movie, because Kenneth Branagh was the director.
Yes, an amazing director and Shakespearean
Amazing job
actor.
with Thor. Great Shakespearean actor was Shakespearean.
Love Kenneth.
Then I forget who did the second movie with the evil elves or whatever. That was okay, but it wasn't as good. Then they brought Taika Waititi. Now Taika Waititi, with that first Thor movie, he brought some humor to it. But in Thor: Love and Thunder, they sacrificed, and I hate this word, a great villain with Gore the God Butcher. But the problem with Gore the God Butcher is you have an R-rated villain. He's called the God Butcher for a reason. All the gods were fear of him.
Yeah.
He had the
And
necro.
you were lucky enough to get Christian Bale, a top-level actor. You know, we're talking, you know, Christian Bale is up there with Jeffrey Rush and Gary Oldman and Robin Williams, and that they just completely lose the, you know, what's his name? Daniel Day-Lewis. They just like lose themselves in the role. Eric Stoltz. They become that character, which is good and bad. But
they lose it because they made him a sympathetic hero, a villain, which God the God Butcher was.
he butchers
Pissed.
gods. He doesn't have time for feelings. Those are for women.
His motivation is because he lost his family. He's in mourning. He's in so much pain that he took the necrosword and he's getting payback. He is getting payback the only way he knows how. And because he endured a lot of suffering. So for him to be sympathetic and stuff on it, looking for it, I understood it. But they toned it down to make it more comical, which if they would have kept the Kenneth Branagh more serious, you would know he was a threat. You wouldn't know, okay, you got to take him seriously. He's not joking around with the kids. He's going to use them as...
No. Well, hold on. Let's make a caveat. If you're going to make Airplane and Top Secret, Police Squad, Naked Gun, not another teen movie, not another scary movie, that's fine. But
Fine.
the beauty of the first Thor, like you said, with Branagh directing it, is the jokes came naturally, like they did in Henry V, like they did in Much Ado About Nothing, or Dead Again, or I mean, he's in Harry Potter too. He's Gilderoy Lockhart. He's perfect for that fucking role, because if you read the book and then you watch the movie, you're like, oh my God, Kenneth Branagh's perfect. He is Gilderoy Lockhart. Oh, sorry. Third Order of Merlin. I don't know what he's like in real life. I've never had the honor of meeting Kenneth Branagh, but I've been a huge fan of him since Henry V in '89, which I went to the theaters to see because I am a huge Shakespeare geek. And, oh my God, Shakespeare. So his take on it, it's the difference between, what is it, store keep. I need a horse. We only have dogs and cats and guinea pigs. Then I need one of those large enough to ride, because Thor doesn't think in terms of, you know, he's just looking for a mount. So it should
Yeah.
just be easy to be the god of thunder and go in and require, which in reality, why didn't you just summon your goats? They're literally waiting for you to call them. You eat them every day, and then they're resurrected each morning. So, oh God, these gnats are driving me crazy. And I've gotten rid of every standing water source, so don't give me that. Like and subscribe. Where that was funny, or when he has coffee for the first time, and then he throws the cup on the ground. Bring me another, dude. That's funny because it's natural comedy. There's nothing campy about that. That's something that he would do. That's something that we would look at as Natalie Portman reacts naturally. Oh my God, what are you doing?
Well, you brought up a good point, and I think that's where they kind of lost it with Thor. If you look at, remember Chadwick Boseman where he did Black Panther?
Mm.
He was regal. He was.
He was a great Black Panther.
And
that movie fucking sucked, and everybody loved it.
Yeah. Well, but look how he portrayed the character. Look how his presence came. Thor needed to have a presence like that. Oh, I'm the son of a king. Boom, I'm going to be king. You know, he's not arrogant totally all the time, but he is who he is, and he's got to stay who he is.
That's the other thing too, is that they downplay Thor in his own movies and the Avengers. Dude, he is an Omega level threat.
Mm-hmm.
He could destroy the Earth if he really wanted to, and there would be nobody to stop him. Captain America and Iron Man and the Hulk could stop him for a while, but only the Hulk is really a threat to Thor on the Avengers. Yeah. He can. Hawkeye, he's a goner. I mean, unless he can get off an eyeball shot before Thor gets near him. But once Mjolnir is let out of Thor's hand, unfortunately, and I love Hawkeye. I love Hawkeye, but you have to be realistic.
In the movies, I think they nerfed him like they did the Hulk.
Yeah.
I think they really nerfed him.
Let's go through the rest of the Avengers. Same thing with Mockingbird. Dude, Thor, she's dead. Ant-Man stands a chance. Wasp, she stands a chance if she can get small enough and get away. Other than that, dude, once he gets a hold of Wasp, it's over for Wasp. Because Thor is that strong. He's that powerful. As far as the...
he realizes what he's doing. If he channels, if he decides, I have had enough, and they've alluded to it in the films, but in the mythos of Thor, when he realizes what he can channel, what he has the capacity for, much of his armor is intended, in the mythos, is intended to control his power. Not necessarily, it doesn't give him the power, it controls his power. Mm-hmm. So he can channel almost all the power of Odin while Odin is still alive. So he has the power to draw literally the life energy of the universe and drive it home to wherever he so desires to do so. In the movies, he still doesn't have that understanding. He hasn't picked that up. Mm-hmm. In the mythos, in the actual mythos of the Norse pantheon, he learns that over time. And until the time of Ragnarok, he's not quite there. But once Ragnarok comes about, now he has realized, he understands what he has to do. The problem is that he meets his ultimate nemesis at Ragnarok. And so he and Dromagon, who is his ultimate nemesis, they take each other's lives, but in the ultimately it is because that was what was necessary for the rebirth of the universe and the pantheon. So yes, I'm a geek, and yes, I'm a Norse geek. So
all of you listening, just to put it in Dragon Ball Z terms, what Rob is explaining, Thor has the capability of doing a spirit bomb just like Goku. He can draw from the universe, Goku. He can draw from Odin to get even more powerful, just like Goku. Just to give you an example, when he does the spirit bomb where he's able to draw that power in, Thor had it first before Goku. This is how powerful he can get with Rune King. So when you go with the Pantheon, Thor is something you don't mess with. You don't trifle with him.
Oh
And
my God,
with
no.
you don't trifle with him, and he's a fair god, but you don't want to get on his bad side because his judgment is
His
swift
wrath
and just
is
like it's unstoppable. So you look at it, he's that powerful. He could take on
yeah.
in his full form Super Saiyan Goku. He could
And
really take on
man,
Red Goku. He could go
yeah.
head to head.
There's a
That's how
reason that
powerful.
Odin and Thor and Freya are Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Right there.
That's all.
Yep.
It says Loki isn't even. He didn't even get a month. He didn't even get a
Mm-mm.
month.
Loki is a an ice giant. He's not an Asir. Loki is an ice giant. He is born of the ice giants, and that is where that comes about. But he was adopted by Odin in the pantheon,
Yeah.
and so he was
Hey,
raised and became a god in that way. But he's also the trickster god.
Odin
But he
treated.
is lawful. I would say that he is lawful evil in some ways and lawful neutral in some ways in the original pantheon, because he does all of these things, but he's known to be that person or that god, that character, and he never steps out of his character. So he is always a constant in that
He's
way.
always chaos.
He's always chaos.
Yes, he is always chaos, but he does have a certain. He does still have a lawful stand to him. He does have a set of rules that he follows, but they're
He's
not the rules that work within
no.
the rest of the Asir. And he does do things for the simple sake of causing chaos. So that makes him lawful evil. I have a set of rules, but I'm still going to screw with you every chance I get because that's my rule.
He basically set up Ragnarok there. I said it. On the other hand,
Mhm.
Loki was treated 1,000 times better in Odin's household than when Odin was very young and given to the giants.
Yeah.
They used him.
Well,
They used
Odin,
him as a piss pot. For
well, you have to remember too that Odin and his brother were going to be killed by their father, and their battle with their father is what created the universe or created the realms, the 9 realms. So, um, always interesting because a similar pantheon, a similar pathway to the pantheon from the Greeks and the Romans, where you had the Titans, who were the originators, and they were the parents of the gods, and the gods had to kill the Titans to then become the gods that they were. So that was how they moved forward.
the Titans don't get off easy though, because it's not like Zeus frees uh, Prometheus and Atlas still has to hold up the world. What's
Yeah.
really interesting is Zeus is the youngest brother, but he becomes the father of the gods. Yet he does the most damage. He has the most illegitimate children. He has the most fucked up shit. Where Poseidon is the sneaky middle brother who's up to nefarious deeds but hides them within the depths of the ocean. And it's actually very Jungian, if you think about it, the way the Greeks did the gods long before Carl Jung was alive. But Hades is the most interesting of all the gods because Hades is the oldest brother. Hades is still alive when he's freed from Kronos' stomach because some of them didn't make it. He ate a lot of the gods and goddesses, but only 9? He ate
Yeah.
like 15, but only like 9 made it. I got to rewrite it or reread it and rewrite it. Yeah, right.
Rewrite it.
Whoops. I have to reread the
Yeah,
writing.
Freudian slip there. Bill is not.
Hi,
It's
we're
not
talking
the
about
universe.
Young. We're talking about Young, not Freud.
Yeah.
Freud was a coked out paranoid weirdo. Young actually was like, you got issues, buddy.
Yes.
I love Young. He's anyway. If you have to pick a favorite psychologist, Yeah, Freud is. I think
Freud is Freud.
Freud. I think Freud
Freud
was
is interesting.
Freud was looking for simple answers to complex questions, and that's just not the case.
Yes.
It's never the case. It's what everybody wants, dude.
They all wanted to simplify. They all wanted to quantify something so they could understand it. And so much of what they sought to quantify is not something that can be quantified to that level, because
Yeah.
you have 800 billion people, or whatever the current number is within this planet, and unfortunately you have each one of them represents an individual construct that you can try to quantify in a very broad spectrum. But Jung tried to say, okay, I can tell you that there are this many types, and this many conditions, and this many things. Nope, we have a great many spectrums out there. So his later people took his work and said, okay, he said, here's an idea, and we're going to call it a spectrum because we know there are people that live on both ends and all the way in the middle.
I have always been fascinated. When I was a small child, I heard the term, well, they went crazy. What is that?
Postal.
Your mind plays tricks on you. What? Oh, that must have been a false memory. What? I watched my father go crazy, and it's the same thing with my mom now. It's like, do you think you get a pass? You've been telling me about relatives losing their minds all my life. That's our fate. That's what happens. That's why they call 40 over the hill. So not everybody makes it to the golden years, the silver years, what are we calling the 90s now? The white years, where you lose all the color in your hair. Like Dwayne told me at work, I remember when your hair was yellow. Yeah, so do I, buddy. It's okay. But Jung kind of took what Freud had you've got the ego, the id, and and it's like, well, it's a bit, you're on the right path, but you're trying to simplify, like you said, Rob, a vast array, a myriad, as opposed to, well, yeah, this fits in this box, and that, well, he kills people over here, and it's not that easy. It's more of, that's why it pisses me off when they've made, what is it, manic depressive is now bipolar, if I understand correctly.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
where it's like,
yeah.
Huh?
It falls within a spectrum. Again, it falls within a spectrum. So they start pulling them in and saying it's a part of the bipolar disorder groups that exist. So bipolarism is still, you still have this wide swath of what can exist there. And it's a component of, and yeah, again, the human mind cannot handle infinity. We cannot understand something that cannot be quantified. There has to be some kind of a boundary to it. That's why,
infinity,
you look at geometry.
Scary.
Geometry starts with a point, and then we have a line, and we have a plane, and then we can have a three-dimensional thing.
Yeah.
But we have to have there has to be a dimension. So in all things, the human mind has to have some form of dimension. Why we came up with the concept of infinity. What is infinity? By definition, infinity has no bounds. But we can't understand it, so we have to give it a name. So now it has a bound because we gave it a name.
Yeah.
That's the only way we can conceive of it.
I desperately want to go out in space, but I have a feeling that if I got past the moon, I wouldn't be able to stop screaming. Because that would be infinity.
Yeah, interesting that you say that, because even in science right now with space, they have a thing called beyond infinity. There is mathematical where you can go beyond infinity because you quantified it by infinity. It's like what they said. Interesting talk. It's like they say, if anything with mass cannot travel the speed of light, But if you have no mass, you must travel at the speed of light. So there is infinity, but there is even beyond infinity, and we can't comprehend that because, again, with the Freudian, with Freud, he's trying to limit what it is, put a speed limit on everything, put a dial to it, an upper and lower dial to it, but you don't realize how far the dial has to turn either way, and how many rotations it's got to go through. So when you're on a spectrum, it leaves more room to understanding. It's like when people talk about narcissism, they assume everybody's narcissistic, narcissist.
Narcissist.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
But
No,
most people have
sorry.
narcissistic tendencies, but doesn't mean they're narcissists.
Yes.
So people, you're psychotic. No, they have psychotic tendencies, but not necessarily
You're
psychotic.
out of your
Because-
mind, Johnny. Yeah, no, you're right.
and it goes like this: the dial that comes up, and what happens going back to Jung realizes that sometimes the dial could be turned up, can be turned down, and it becomes a little fluent. You float between it. It's not a constant. So we're Freudian.
Sorry, we went from Marvel movies to Carl Jung.
Carl Jung.
Yeah, but think
Sorry.
about it.
I'm sorry.
What is all of this? This is the way for what would be, and big air quotes, the common person to understand these concepts. Because again, we've spoken about this before. How many times, how many things in life, in art, in music, in in anything that you come about, anything that you enjoy, how many times have you learned something without understanding that you were learning something? Concept has been brought forward. So I would posit that right now, the comic books have taught more people about these concepts, these ideas, without presenting them in an academic format than perhaps just about anything else out there. Art has done that for millennia. The popular arts, the stories and the tales, those that are told over and over and over again, those that have been handed down through generations, through centuries, through millennia, they all have that same thing in common. They teach these ideas and these ideals. They bring it forward in such a manner that and I hate the term, but the simple mind can understand and can pull together and can have some kind of an understanding and belief in, without having to know all of the academic things that come forward with these brighter light bulbs that show up that have to give a name and a quantification to these, because they are seeking to present themselves in a more positive light, in a higher light, as one who has a higher understanding. But yet, when brought back, as we have just done, many of the people that would be watching this or listening to this, or if we were sitting in a cafe somewhere having coffee, would be perking their ears up going, hey, that's right. Oh, I never realized that. This is bringing this across. So many people wouldn't understand these things otherwise. Now, much of art, to make it more palatable or more enjoyable or something that people are going to be drawn into, tends to take those ideas to an extreme, because now I can show you what that is. The subtleties don't necessarily play off as well in those genres as much as they would in an academic setting, where somebody's looking for, I want to see the scale, I want to quantify the scale from the extreme 0 to the extreme infinity.
Yes.
In comic books, we're going to show you the extreme infinity as the Joker. He is the extreme infinity in that side. We're going to show you the extreme infinity as Superman. He is the extreme infinity on that side. And so many people, it's that case where you get to walk up and tap somebody on the shoulder and say, surprise, you learned something. I know you didn't want to. You were hoping to just be entertained, but you learned something. Congratulations. Move
half
along.
of you's really happy about this. The other half's super pissed. You hit the nail on the head. That brings up a whole nother level of intellectual prowess that would. So many times people are given what they've been asking for, but they reject it because it isn't packaged the way they think it should be.
Yeah.
They can't recognize it in the
I hope that I'm trying to add to your brilliance there. Thank you, sir.
I think what you're trying to say, Bill, And what
Well, I'm
Rob
trying to
actually
add I'm. Oh, go ahead.
is that it's made digestible.
Yes.
It's made digestible because if you were to go technically and talk about what we're talking, because we're talking really in-depth subjects. When you're talking about Freud, when you're talking about Jung, we've read those.
Hold on,
So
I'm
we're
about
not
to bring
talking
up
about,
Campbell. Just keep going.
but we understand the topics. So somebody who never heard of them, this is new news to them. So to them, it's digestible. We can talk about this all day and a lot of stuff with it
Well, I mean,
because
if
we're
you guys are
familiar with
ready,
the
it's only
topic.
7:10. I mean, I'm ready to go for another 3 hours. But
We're eclectic. We can go on about different stuff. It's because of our
I'm running out
backgrounds.
of booze, but I think I'm okay.
We'll get more. We always
Oh,
get
oh,
more.
squidget.
But
No,
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 that
you
was
but
guys are
please.
eclectic. I'm crazy.
Oh, okay. I thought I was the chaos.
I have paperwork. I have a little badge and a card, the whole 9 yards.
I reposted. Speaking of PSTD, I reposted Carlin's shell shock to PSTD and
Oh,
how we
yeah.
It's the same thing with bipolar and manic depressive. They're the same things. Well, don't come up with stop reinventing the categorization. Come up with a better cure.
here, yeah.
Exactly.
Was gonna be
Understand what it is and understand the depths that exist, the spectrum. And
yeah.
I like that term because it really does speak to there's a broad swath
Yeah.
that all of these things fall into. And it can become interesting and absolutely frightening depending upon which side of it you're standing on. If you're standing on the inside and you're dealing with these things, it is absolutely frightening, and it can be debilitating to somebody. If you're standing on the outside looking in, it can be it can also be frightening, but it can also draw you in because now you're looking. It's the spectator syndrome. Nobody wants to look at the train wreck, but when you're standing outside of it, you're going to watch it at least to a certain extent. When you're standing inside of it, the greatest thing you want is to never have to be a part of it.
Or what you're also survivor syndrome,
Yep.
where you hate yourself for why am I alive and he died, dude. That's just how it happened. You just need to come to terms with it and move on. It sucks, but that's the way it is. Everybody talks about COVID was so terrible. No, dude, 2022 was the worst year of my life. I lost so many people that were close to me. I'm still. How do you know you're okay? Well, if I didn't randomly break down and start crying about people I've lost in the last 10 years, I'd be worried about me. But I'm not worried about me because I randomly break down and start crying about. Remember, like and subscribe about people I really care about. I escape reality like all the rest of us.
That's why I heat up steel and beat it as hard as I can with a hammer.
Damn right.
That is my thing, and that is my coping mechanism.
Speaking
That
of
was
that,
given to me by somebody who coped with things far beyond what I knew. So
I did invite Ron Hill tonight, but he's super busy, so he wasn't able to join us.
Well, he's always welcome. Tell him he's always welcome.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait
we
to
got
get
to figure out how to bring. We
Well-
got to bring callers on.
Yes.
So if we could get the telephone hookup, because for your phone calls, just the ones that you've had tonight, that would have been ideal. Somebody calling you, just bring them on the line. Hello, caller. Now you're on the air. Thanks for calling in. How can we help you?
Hello. I am calling to tell you about the customer service position in Scottsdale, Arizona. I hope you are wanting to get the job. My name is Sanjeev. Yeah, that's what the calls were.
It would be Sanjeev. Thank you for calling the psychology radio show. We'd really like to talk to you about these concerns you have. Is the job that you believe to be there? Are those people in the room with you now? Are you able to see them?
See, we have been assigned.
Do you? Do you feel like you're being seen or spoken to? You just go off.
Yeah. Is he in the room with you now? This God person. This so many
No, yeah.
others.
Are you afraid of repercussions? Do they make you nervous?
So
But
the
guess what? We just
darkness.
want to speak with you, Roy.
Oh,
Understand, this is a safe space. It's between the
it's
three of us,
oh,
you, and our
wow.
50,000 subscribers who are listening in as we talk.
Oh, I wish so hard for that. Oh my God, I'm gonna subscribe so hard. Yeah, I like and subscribe. I
You know what we're going to end up with after these calls, after these talks? We're going to end up with 10,000 psychiatric professionals
just
wanting to listen in.
you are
Listen to,
crazy.
and that way they can go, we'd like to talk to you because we're all getting our PhDs and we need to use this as our thesis statement.
So,
Oh, that
um,
would be wonderful if they did that.
so in 98, just before Christine, I dated two amazing women, and one blonde who will remain nameless, who had a haircut like Ann Jillian from the '80s, and I I met her while I was at work, and she was not at my work. She was there to just fill up. She was she saw me and became interested in me, and when she asked me for my phone number, I was just blown away because I was doing very well at the Renaissance Festival, but women in the real world, I'm still a giant clown to them. So, okay, no worries. Stick where I'll stick where I'm needed with the 20-year-old ex, you know, community theater rejects who want to be actors, but they're stuck at the. I'm glad you laughed at that. I got that from MST3K. 3K. That's not actually my line, but it's so funny. You community theater reject. Oh, that hurt, and that's hilarious. Oh, anyway, so now I forgot what I was going to say. Damn it!
You're talking about a blonde that should remain nameless.
Yes. So I know, but I had a point. I totally forgot the point I was going to make. What were we talking about before that? Oh, I'm so tired.
Psychology.
Well, yeah, there's always psychology.
So it's the psychology. It's like that girl you were talking about, the one you were on it.
Mm.
She was drawn to you about your personality, about something. You raised her interest. That sometimes beyond you, people can see you as an enigma. And sometimes certain people are drawn to you for
Yeah,
certain different
I
reasons
think
than
that's
others.
sometimes they think, well, it's the same thing from what dudes do, where we see a woman and we start building this fantasy in our head about her, and it's like, dude, she's just a chick who's trying to get through her day. And it's the same thing as, yeah, I'm going to go to the same cashier because she's super hot. But I know in my mind she has no interest in me. I'm a gross old man to her. But guys come up with this fantasy, and she actually pursued me. And, when you're with a woman who's way out of your league, and it ends badly. I can't remember the point I
But
was
you know
going
how
to
you
make.
got her.
Yeah.
I see it. I know how you got her. You realize that you could have been one of the first guys to actually talk to her and treated her like not a piece of meat, even though she was beautiful, but you didn't give off those vibes.
Yeah.
So it happened to me in my dating field, and I dated women that were out of my league just because I treated them like humans,
Yeah,
and I
and
wasn't
not the
after
goddess they
anything.
really are.
You
I
know?
mean, she was like married to my neighbor's son. It was really, really weird. But I didn't pursue her at all. I was at work. And yeah, I like to look at the scenery. But when I'm at work, I'm usually trying to focus at work because Arizona is a right to work state, Phoenix, Scottsdale, all that. You could get fired for nothing. So getting fired doesn't have the same stigma out here in Arizona that it does in, like, say, New York or New Jersey or Pennsylvania. If you get fired in Phoenix, well, I got fired. If you're fired back east, you're like, oh my God, I got fired. So it's like we don't even understand I talked about it before when I was interviewing for the one spot, and the temporary service was like, if you were to tell. So it says here on your resume that you didn't work for 6 months. I can explain. I was taking care of a sick relative. I went back to school. I was where with Phoenix, it says you only worked here for 6 months. No, I worked there for 6 whole months, man. They had me there for 6 whole months. I was a supervisor. That's Phoenix, that Tempe. That please, guys, back me up. That's normal.
Yeah, that's normal here. You know what? I think the reason that you got her attention was because you were indifferent.
She was drop dead gorgeous. I saw her in 2008. She was still drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah, but I think you
So
were indifferent to her, so it raised her attention because
because I never thought
women
I
that
could, I never thought she'd actually talk to me, let alone go out on a date with me, let alone
yeah,
date me
see
for
that,
like 8 months.
that's what I think it was because if you really think about it, guys will shoot their shot all the time that think they have a shot, but you thinking her gorgeous was like, I don't have a shot. I'm not going to even try.
No, yeah,
So you were like indifferent. You're like, well, okay, it is what it is,
I was
however
just
it is.
me, and I
So,
treated her like a person, and I'm funny,
you're
and I
not the
have
person.
goofy lines, and
So a lot of times, what with women sometimes is they like what's mysterious, the triad features, the dark triad, and also they
the
like
dark
uh
triad. He's
triad,
got
yeah.
big shoulders, and he's funny. Well,
He's
that's
got
it.
the
No,
that's it.
that's not enough.
It just that you were basically not pandering to her, not simping for her, not doing any of that stuff on it.
No, that
So
was
to her, it's
later.
like, yeah, that was like. But at that time, she was like, well, this guy's not simping or doing the regular stuff that everybody else does. Made her curious to stop on it because a lot of times that will intrigue women. Is when you talk to women, is sometimes when you're sometimes aloof
Mm,
or don't pay that much mind to him. They want to know, well, why isn't he
why?
coming after me? Why is it? Why?
Why aren't you
And that
asking me
question
out? Because every guy asks you out, and I'm
must
not
me
every
in.
guy.
What? Not every guy, and you don't play that role. So that makes some people, and I've had women come up to me and the same thing, do the same thing. You're like, I had one woman come up and ask me, I don't understand you. I said,
If I didn't
how do
get
you do what you do? And I look at it and I'm like, it's just me, because they're trying to quantify you. Going back to quantify
trying
about
to
that
put
dial,
you in a
they're trying to put
category.
you in a,
Well, you're barking up the wrong tree.
well, my biggest like one of my biggest lines that I tell girls, and I always get a good response
Mm.
is I see people for who they are and not who they pretend to be. And they always look at it and they're always stumped with that question. Kind of a Freudian kind of a question, but I look for people who they are, not who they pretend to be. Because a lot of times when you come up, the superficial person is saying hi to you. The mask is on. Oh, I got to be good. I got to be good. I got to be nice. I got to be accommodating. I got to be all this. You know, it's not their true self. It's only a part of their true self on it.
Yeah.
Over time, you get to find out the true individual. Over time, you find the goodness, the badness, all the mixes.
You're so
That dial goes
nice.
back.
Well, I'm at work. Yeah.
I'm at work. Yeah, yeah. So, and a lot of women,
No,
it's kind of
you're.
weird.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. Go
Oh no,
ahead, guy.
no. Oh, it's kind of weird, but it's the opposite effect that sometimes they get so interested that they come up and start talking to you because they're so interested that you're not everybody. You're not the same. They can't categorize you, and when they can't
No.
categorize you, you're like a new toy. They can't figure it out. You're a Rubik's cube, and they're trying to solve you.
Yeah. What do you? Well, I'm a broken, hopeless romantic. What do you want from me? I'm. What is it? We worked so hard to get rid of labels in the 90s, only to have our children and our grandchildren bring them back in spades. So now, MGTOW, men going their own way. Well, I mean, I've got my, like I was saying earlier, today and yesterday, digging holes to put, have two more to go, but other stuff was going on, and I got to let the dogs out. I didn't make it to the ranch at all. I'm very upset about that, but that's just kind of what happened. But I mean, I just kind of do my own thing. I don't worry about that kind of crap
Well,
anymore.
you brought out a good point, and people misunderstand it, or sometimes they don't do enough research with it. They put their own interpretation, and that's as far as they go, or they parrot it. Like with MGTOW, you're not concerned with what you can't control. You're just doing what you need to do. You're doing yourself. You're trying to improve yourself. So it's a self journey of you improving yourself. So you're not going to get tangled up with women or dating unnecessarily. You're not going to put yourself in awkward positions and stuff that you don't need to. So what happens is what MGTOW is, you're going to self improve on your own, and you're going to be on your own journey. If you choose
Mm.
to come along, you can come along. So you're not telling people that they cannot join you. It just you're not following everybody's same path. So a lot of people get MGTOW. They
Mm.
I hate when people do this, when they label them and they think they're red
Well,
pillars or black pillars. They use these labels, and I said that's far from the truth, because all what a MGTOW person is just like kung fu. He's going, he's doing his own a walkabout. He's going his own
oh,
path. He's
that kung
making his,
fu.
yeah, kung fu. He's doing it. Old reference, David Carradine back there. And that's
Shaolin
what it is.
priest.
You're going your own way. You're finding your own way. You're doing, whether it be health, money, mental, whether you're doing your own thing on it without the distractions of other things. You're limiting what you have. You're looking for peace. You want quiet. You want, sometimes people want solitude. And being what it is, being lonely and being in solitude are two different things. You know, you could be happy by yourself, and some people can't be alone with themselves.
No, so a lot of people can't. When you
You
can snatch the pebble from my hand, it'll be time for you to leave. He said snatch. That's all I But you're right. It's most people don't give a crap about any of that, and they're just living their lives.
Yeah.
They're living their lives. They don't care. It's very
Mm.
cosmopolitan. It's all over across the board.
Mm.
What's
But if you're,
bad? Well, I mean, everybody.
you're
A,
absolutely right. Yeah.
a lot of groups and a lot of individuals have an us or them. It's far more subtle. It's varying shades of gray. The world isn't really as black and white as we would really hope it would be. It's not that way. Like it was doing jury duty at 19 that I really realized that lawyers don't hate each other. They all have to work together. Same thing with politicians, same thing with a lot of other organizations where they can't stand that guy, but they're against him in court in 3 weeks for the Jones trial, or so that put things into perspective. And it's the same. What's really interesting, and we don't, when we're young and we're learning Dungeons and Dragons and Gamma World and Top Secret and Star Frontiers and all of the others, you're focused on the killing and the slaying and the adventure and the treasure and the prizes, and you don't really notice the subtle intricacies of modern life that's shoved into fantasy, where most things aren't black and white. They're varying shades of gray.
It's interesting because going back like the comic was what you said, it's such a psychological case study that when you look at it and you look at the big spectrum and you come into it and you learn something, it's like with our discussions here. What I like about the discussions here, we can run from a range of topics of anything and nothing at the same time, but yet you could pull out nuggets of information from any of one of us at any time.
Mm.
But we're open to discussion. What I hate to say is that a lot of people today cannot have a discussion that we're having right now, because Rob has his own opinions. I have my own opinion. You have your own opinion. We may not agree on anything, but we got to talk about it,
Yeah.
and we can get a common ground. We can find commonality with one another. So not all of our visions and all our beliefs are the same. They're not.
Guy,
They're
are you
not.
bringing this back to last weekend where we started going off on politics and I kept saying we shouldn't be talking about this because
No,
Rob's an
I'm not talking about
old-school
politics at
friend?
all. Nothing at all.
Okay.
Nothing at all. But what happens is people can't do conversations anymore because it's conversations is always about
Sorry.
themselves. It's always they have to put themselves as anecdotally. So you can't have a true conversation with somebody that has a secular topic or a circular argument. And that's what you run into people. It's the same thing. Is it's right? No, I'm right. Well, why are you right? Because I'm right. Well, what makes you right? Because I'm right. You know what I mean? You get to that, and and if they could just talk about
And you
things,
need to get your 5-year-old and 8-year-old out of the 21 or older pool. They're being discriminated
yeah.
against because they're underage. Get them out of the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No,
I hate. Yeah. I'm sorry I brought it up. I just thought you would.
it just to me,
Somebody
I don't
walks
like.
away angry. That's the problem with politics. They just don't. They
Yeah.
don't listen. They just. Here's my point. Okay.
Well, it's sometimes you like that. Say you can't argue with stupid. It's you get a secular argument and you go nowhere because there's nowhere to go because you're not using any logic anymore. You know,
History,
and
politics, and religion is taught in the home before the school, and
yeah,
there before college, and therein lies 65% of your issue. What did I say it last week? I'm going to say it this week. Negotiation, I have found, is 60% effort and 40% want. I have to want something, and you have to put forth the effort to give it to me in order for the negotiation to be
yeah.
palatable for everyone. Modern day, oh, it's just screaming chimpanzees throwing poop, and that doesn't solve any problem. And I'm talking about both sides, not just one or the other. So that
Mm.
being said, as somebody always walks away angry,
Angry
angry.
or feel like they're being hurt or something.
Yeah.
And you said it best, and it always stuck with me a long time ago. There are no new stories written. There are no new ideas, and I find that I'm trying to believe and hoping to believe that it's false. But the older I get, sometimes it could be true that there's no new people out there to challenge the status quo or give a new idea out like before. Because sometimes you have renaissances that come out because somebody say, well, what if? Let me look at this and let's do it this way. Why? There's no rhyme or reason. Let's see if it can be done. You don't have that now because everybody is kind of stuck in what they want to believe or who they want to be.
Yes, because Warren Beatty is Dick Tracy and Flash Gordon in 80 or 81, and
Yeah.
Billy Zane's The Phantom in the 90s. Those are proof that, and the Shadow, the Rocketeer. We still love those old stories, and if you present them to the public in a very digestible format, we're going to love them even more for a whole new generation.
And that's what's kind of lost is the storytelling because you always have to have storytellers and you always have to have stories to tell.
Mm.
And with that is when people learn something, sometimes they don't learn it because they go out to seek it. They learn it accidentally. It's for example, Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. Well, you hear that quoted by people all the time and sometimes misquoted. And sometimes they don't realize it's from a comic book from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But yet they heard that before and they could have been introduced it through Spider-Man. That's old wisdom. That is not the first time that just because Spider-Man said that. No,
True.
that's old knowledge. It just been regurgitated and reissued by Spider-Man. But that's going years back. Stoicism way back. That's part of it. And people don't realize it. Like Shanzan, the guy who wrote The Art of War,
Mm.
all is fair in love and war. He means all is fair in the battleground as well on it. He wrote that centuries ago, but you hear people reiterate it, re-say it, put it in songs, put it in music, put it in there. They forget
Memes.
sometimes who says it, but it's still the same message.
only the faces and the names change.
Change. Only face and name change.
Ours. It's the same
And that's
thing that you and I make in Worldwide Villains. There's no new
yeah.
stories. All we
No,
have is the new arrangement of existing ideas. That's why Fat Angel was interesting. I had to have to change the name Villain Machine because that's a program for a thing now. And all the adventures of Tesla, all the stuff I wanted to do. But I'm not an artist. I'm not that great a writer. So we do other things. It's the same thing with the bastard sons of the British Empire. Paul and I originally were just making stuff, and then that kind of like exploded, and then it died because he started to look at it and see dollar signs instead of
yeah. Instead of
all the hard work we did for the 2 years before that. It's like, really? Like,
yeah.
hold on. Like and subscribe. We need, oh my God. But if the three of, if all of a sudden keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, money changes everything. We had this discussion beforehand. So you really don't know what's going to happen. It,
In honesty,
yeah.
I think we were a little bit ahead of our time. Because remember when we were talking about with Villains United and so forth, it was such an abstract concept that people enjoyed it, but they didn't quite get it. They were liking the idea, but they still weren't catching on. So we were a little bit ahead of the time with it because there was a little bit of a disconnect. Even back then, back when we came up with those ideas and concepts.
Well, I mean,
And
another thing is we tried to do too much all at once,
yeah,
and we
yeah.
failed miserably. And that's just the growing pains of business, Gwen.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
But it wasn't for naught.
I'm an actor and an idea man and a musician and a restorer and I'm just a human being. So I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna screw things up. The best thing he's unfortunately Mike Clark is no longer with us, but I I pay my debts. I paid Christine back, and I the 10 grand that I borrowed from her to start Worldwide Villains, and I paid back Mike Clark the 5 grand I owed him to pay people to get the Major Crush Hazard.
You paid your
Drink.
dues.
I screw up a lot of things, but paying back debts is a big thing. It's one thing to not pay a company back. It's another thing to not pay a human being back.
It's
And
different.
yeah, Mike Clark wanted to write the horror comic industry. The problem is that Mike and I had we had drastically different writing styles. They really clashed. So it was arguments more than, and I hate to say arguments, more like, this is this. Oh, shit. Okay. I tried to fix it. It's still not good enough. Okay, well, then you do it. Holy crap.
Hmm.
Because Mike's was a better writer than I am. I'm not going to argue with it, Most people
He had different
are.
I like how he wrote. He kind of wrote. Me and him has similar tastes and so forth with it. Just different aspects because I do a lot of writing and
I
I do a lot of
Yeah.
horror and stuff and
I think that
not supernatural but stuff.
if things had turned out differently, I think if Mike you had brought on Mike for your Cordon Negro project, things would have gone a lot differently
Yeah.
because Mike just devoured books and he was a programmer. He was,
Yep.
whereas I'm a bit more theatrical and Grody, his words haunt me since he said them. Maybe you're just an idea man, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. No, dude, I want to be a writer, but I'm not that good a writer. But what I am good at is ideas and negotiation. Those are two things that I absolutely excel at. So you got to stick to your strengths. As much as
Yeah.
I want to be a writer, I'm just ice skating uphill.
Yeah. Because I
Even
remember
oh,
with that talking with it is that I had a project that I wanted to work with him, but it kind of died down and everything went what it was. And I was talking and give him notes for like Duro Man and some other sci-fis. Because my biggest thing is like, and Rob will know this, Rod Sterling. I like Rod Sterling. I like the old sci-fi, RUR, old, real, true, good sci-fi, supernatural, back in, outer limits. That's Bill knows this. That's my
the
stick. I
dark
like it.
room
I like,
with James
I
Colbert.
like James Cover. Yeah, I like putting things into with a twist. It's a moral play. All of my things are moral plays when it comes up to the end of it. It just where they take place in it. It's sometimes not necessarily in reality, which gives you that option to change it up a bit.
Mm,
So it's not calling anybody out specifically in the real world, but it puts the outer limits spin on it.
mm,
And that's what I like. The outer limits, the night gallery,
the night
um,
gallery.
all those old science fiction were going to different places. And I've been writing and doing an anthology. I've been doing it for
Good for
years, bits
you.
and pieces. Hmm? I got stories. I got one about the Sauvignon,
Really?
about a wine a wine gallery and stuff on it that you go up there for wine tasting, and it's more than what it seems. I got one about Duralman,
Yeah.
about what you see and what true reality is.
The
I got
stories.
another
The stories
dude. I
keep.
got
Yeah, they
I got
keep.
like stories. I got a whole. I'm planning before I leave this realm or whatever to leave a book, an anthology of short stories, kind of like H.P. Lovecraft,
Good for you.
that somebody else can take and do what they want with it afterwards, put onto it and
Well,
go from there.
the stories keep coming, but I stopped writing them down years ago because what's the point?
Oh
Well,
yeah,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to get
you're a
dark here.
storyteller.
Huh?
You're a storyteller. You're very, very accomplished at telling stories.
Yeah, I do.
You always have been. The difference is you have a difficulty in putting it into what you think of as a book format. You are an oral storyteller. You can sit down, you can tell a tale, you can spin a tale from out of your mind, and you can present it and you can draw somebody in. The difficulty that you have is doing what you perceive as the necessities to put it into a book or a novel format.
True.
So if you were to if you were to tell your tale, if you were to tell your tales to your computer, let the computer write it,
Mm.
put the words on paper, and you were to give it to an editor, somebody who edits, who then looks at it and goes, okay, this is where I need to say at this point, X character said, and then, but your tale is being told. That's the difference. You have the difficulty right now. You don't have the experience or the mindset to put it into a novel format.
No.
oh my God,
But
Robin.
you excel in that oral tradition, in the oldest form of storytelling, being able to sit down, spin the tale face to face, and draw in. And that's where you have the combination that so many writers couldn't sit and tell their story. They would have a hard time reading their story. It would sound like Ben Stein.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 1944, we did the following.
V
But
something
you can come
something
forward.
D something something economic
Exactly.
Bueller. So you said that. Sorry. Oh my
You
God.
can go forward.
Thank you.
You can sit down and tell the tale. And if somebody gives you the book, you can tell the tale from the book and put it forward in such a fashion that people get drawn into it. So there is a very stark difference. If
Yep.
you told the tale, if you were to use whatever product you want
Ghostwriter.
that has an audible system,
Yeah.
and you recite your tales to the computer, let it write those things down for you, put them in the hands of an editor, then the editor could craft it into what would be the novel format, which is fine because you're telling the tale from the envisioner, but you're also able to put in the emotion. And that's why the audio part, when you tell the story, if they watch the video of you telling the story, now they can convey that emotion. You can be talking about this particular character, and he was talking like this, and he was so excited, and I have to tell you all these things. And now the editor can say, the character was so animated in telling this tale. They reached forward and grabbed the lapels. You're not necessarily going to say that. You're going to do it. You're going to show them. That's the difference. You have that skill set that so many authors do not have. They may be able to write it out after thinking about it 5 or 6, but you can tell the tale off the cuff and say and present it. And now people are all of a sudden they've got this new thing. And that comes from all of your skills from very young in being a physical storyteller. You learned that from your family. You've spoken about that a number of times. That is who you are. That is where your skill comes. That's why I think you do much better in the spoken word. Yeah. And the storytelling that way, presenting it that way, makes it so much more enticing to people. They get drawn in. Now they see, reading off the page, somebody has to give them the cues to put the emotion.
Yeah.
When you present it, you build the emotion, and now you draw them in, and they pick it up.
Thank you,
Bill. What Rob said is 100% true, because you're a DM, and some of your DMs and stuff on it, even for the briefest time that I saw him, if you were to do like J.R.R. Tolkien and just did a story just about orgs and D&D and put it into the world of that and just did it and outline, just talked and had it recorded onto it. Just tell the tale. Just tell the tale.
Here's
put
what
it
happened.
on the computer. Yeah. Just tell the tale. Whatever it is, that somebody else can make something out of it from there. But the tale is told. See, that's because you always had the idea, man, and you would come up with some real ingenious, really thought-provoking ideas. You could execute on those ideas because you were trying to put it in paper to make everybody understand what you were saying. You just have to say it. That's it. Like, not to say it in a bad way, is a lot of times, and I'll give you what I do. I write down ideas, and sometimes thoughts and stuff will come down. I'll be talking or joking with my brothers, and sometimes inspiration will hit. I have a notebook. I write it down. Then later on, I get another piece and I put it down. You have to write it down. You have to put it down, because at the moment that you have it, you may not necessarily know how to finish or add to the book, but at another point in time, something will inspire you to add that other piece to it. And all you do is record it. You record and put it down. Later on, you can always go back and put it in. But you don't like format. You like with our show, you don't want to have an outline. You don't want to have structure. But like Rob was saying, you get an editor do the structure. Yeah.
Wait a minute. That's not true, and you know it. I've been begging you to help me with outline.
Yeah, but you're doing more structure now. You're going through more right now. True. So what happens is you are going more through it right now. So right now you are more disciplined. So with the structure and stuff on it, now what happens is now once you get the structure, you can go, okay, I got an idea. Before, anybody can spurg out an idea, but that's where it dies. And with that, you could do great things with it. All you have to do is get the idea. You get an editor, and all you have to do is just assemble the idea where people can come up to it. Because sometimes thought is not coherent. Sometimes it's not linear. No. But in your mind it is, but to somebody listening, not.
Oh, wait. Are you talking about my stories or the podcast?
Well, your stories. The podcast is what the podcast. Your stories.
Yeah, I was going to say. I thought we had fun.
No, the podcast. We follow along. We go through a rhythm. So, but the stories, like what Rob said, Rob hit it right on the nail. You give it to an editor, the editor puts it linear, makes it digestible for everybody, but the story is still told. Because sometimes when you come up with a story, you're jumping bits and pieces a little bit, but that's fine. You're just putting the story out. Like with my stories, sometimes they're not complete because they're not complete yet, but I have an outline. I put pieces down. I write it down. Oh, I got this idea. That might be a great ending. Okay, how would that ending work? I can't figure it out. Leave it for next time. Oh, that would be great to put the ending, or that would make sense for this ending or something, or that would be a great cliffhanger.
Chris,
And as long as you put it down, then later on you can put it together. And that's it. It's the story to Rob hit it right. That was a good
no, Rob's 100%.
observation. You caught that because that's all what it needs done. Somebody has to come up with the idea first of all to write something down. If you can't come up with an idea, you're not writing anything down. But you come up with an idea. Okay, you got it.
I think one of my best.
It's Aunt Maud's story time.
Hmm?
It's going to be Hornswoggle's story time. Your YouTube channel. You think I'm kidding, but your YouTube channel is Hornswoggle's story time. And you sit down and you tell a 30-minute tale.
Yep.
And you're going to have people that jump in and they're going to listen, and somebody's going to hand it off to the next person. They're going to go, you got to hear this. This was a riot. This was a kick. I enjoyed every minute of this. Or this really spoke to me. This tale went really well. You do Hornswoggle story time. If you put out 3 30-minute story times, 3 15-minute story times on the YouTube, you're going to find out that people are going to kick back and they're going to go, oh, wait a minute. This is kind of interesting. Somebody's going to pick up on it, and it's going to kick back. Your storytelling capacity, that's why you did so well at the Renaissance festivals. That's why you do so well when you're in work, and you've spoken to it yourself. You're the guy that can tell the tale, can draw somebody in, and get them interested in what it is you're saying. You could be talking to them about how to rebuild a carburetor. I'm going to tell them you're going to need to take the float bowl apart. You're going to have to take the air horn off. But you're going to be talking about, okay, the next thing, you've got 6 screws on the top. You got to see these screws. They are so cool. But if you take them off, you got to take them off. You got to take the first 2 on the right side. Now, remember, the right side is the side that has the linkage on it when you're looking at this. And when you pull it off, be very careful. If you pull it off the wrong way, that spring's going to pop out, and you'll be chasing that thing for the next 6 months. And you'll never find it. And that is the difference.
You'll never.
Guy and I are going to be telling them, we're going to tell them in the stepwise fashion. First, you need to take this off. When you're taking it off, be careful because this will be attached. You're going to be telling them the tale. Did you know that the carburetor was originally designed by Franz Sebastian Carb? And they came up with carburetor because he needed a better name because carb just didn't sound right. So that is where the tales come in. Your stories build that way, and that's what draws people in. Again, Ben Stein is the perfect example. When he plays to that monotone character, that's what so many authors are like. You wouldn't sit and listen to J.K. Rowling tell you the tale of any of her books. You wouldn't want to hear it because she can't emote that way. Now she might be able to do a little better, but early on, there was no way she could do that.
Clear eyes.
Exactly. But, you would give it to, you could give a Carl Jungian book to Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks could tell the tale, and he could read that, but he would throw things in there to make it interesting. You would do the same thing because that's how you do it, because you can't sit and do that monotone. You can't do that dry. You're going to start pulling things in to make it more interesting. And your tales are the same way. Like I said, when you DM, when you do that kind of thing, you're spinning a tale, but you're not spinning a tale just by saying, okay, there's 3 guys that pulled up in a big limousine. You're telling us a big black limousine that pulled up and that you can just maybe see inside. Oh, shit. Now the door opens and there's 6 great big gorillas that step out. Well, there's no gorillas in this particular area, but you know to call them gorillas because they're great big, and everybody now has that mental picture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, anybody could go about it and do it in the baser function.
No,
you bring that emotion. You bring it forward so people get excited, they get drawn in. That's always been your forte.
They said, get that guy to do this thing. And I said, all right, I'll go over there. And I walk up to the individual and I completely engage him in topical conversation. And just before I leave, oh, hey, by the way, you need to do this. Sorry, what you're doing is against the rules. Oh my God, I'm sorry, and I came back and I told both my supervisors, Dustin and Fabian, what I had done. And Fabian looked at me and he goes, that's such a Bill way of doing things. And everybody laughed and it's like, what is
Well, you could tell people in the most extraordinary, engaging way at the Ren Fair how to find a restroom. Well, you're going to have to go down. Take the path to the left. Remember, the path to the left is the one most chosen, but beware.
And you got to stay away from this, otherwise you'll be there for hours.
Stop! You're making me miss Ren Fair.
me and Rob see it, and for those who are watching this right now and stuff on it, we known Bill for a long time and stuff on it, so he can actually tell a good story and you listen to it and stuff with it. On it.
Put it in the comments. You want to hear Uncle Hornswoggle's story time. Put it in the comments now.
Put it in the comments
Uncle
now.
Hornswoggle.
Well, I was okay. I'm building the 1-ton 47 GMC panel truck, and Ed and Donnie are like, "Are you gonna put are you gonna draw something on there?" I'm like, "I don't know, dude. That's expensive. Doing paint work and everything." And what was it? Ed said, "You need to put Hornswoggle's Express or Hornswoggle's Delivery Service or Hornswoggle's Express on there." And I was like, I kind of want to put a little redheaded pinup girl that's bending over and looking back on both sides. That's kind of what I was thinking. And then Don Coffey's like, why not do both?
Mm-hmm.
This is why you have the highest IQ of all of us. Oh my God, he's a genius. And I was talking to Ed about it. I'm like, hey, you think you could do that? He's like, pinup girl and that? Oh, yeah. Because Ed's an artist. Yeah, we could do that. That's not a big deal at all. So that's kind of what I...
In a nutshell, my friend. A nutshell.
I try. I do love the redheads.
There it is.
Yeah.
I now have your new job. You get to be Uncle Hornswoggle story time. It's the newest YouTube sensation.
The newest YouTube sensation. Well, we'll try. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
That would be great if I could just tell stories all the time. Tell jokes. The only reason that I haven't gone, it's not fear not doing stand-up comedy. It's how do I get my hour-long stories down to 3 minutes?
You know what? Think about it. Some of the greatest comedic storytellers, and they still have some that are floating about today. They don't do the 3-minute shticks. You're thinking about going into the comedy club, and I need to be able to tell 15 jokes that are 3 minutes a piece so that I can do a 45-minute set so that I can make my money. But Carlin didn't do 3-minute jokes.
Oh, my God, no.
Leary doesn't do 3-minute jokes. Robin Williams didn't do 3-minute jokes. A lot of these great comics didn't do the 3-minute joke thing. They would have a couple because I needed a segue between this and that. But what they did was they were going to tell the tale. Just what you do. I need to draw you in. Sit down, my children, and let me entice you with a tale.
Sit down.
I'm going to tell you the story of the 43 Chevrolet panel. You're going to be enthralled. Let me explain to you the joys and the heartbreak that come with a rusted bullet. Boom, you're off. And now everybody's going, what the hell is he talking about? Oh, this is a kick in the ass. Hey, because you can tell the tale. You know what? You would think a bolt comes off with just a wrench and a ratchet. There's an old tale amongst mechanics. I'm going to ask it to come off nicely. Right. I'm going to request it a little more forcefully. A long ratchet. I'm going to tell it, damn you, you will come off. I have a 3-foot breaker bar.
I will threaten it.
It's like, can't be tight if it's liquid. Torch.
Torch.
That's the tail. But you have that skill, that knowledge. Those are your personal experiences, which is what comedy is best anywhere. And you can present that. So you've got all of that. You can speak to cleanly, and by cleanly, I mean not divulging names, but you can speak to cleanly about things that have happened throughout your life. The Renaissance festivals, all of your time, the comic book work, all of the fun stuff that you did in college, the haunted houses, the stuff that you've seen in jobs that you've had since all of those things. CVS, without ever having to mention that it was CVS and anything in detail there. Let me tell you about some of the tales of how you can deal with human people and get them on your side very quickly, even when they dislike you on set.
God damn it, you're right. I can't argue with results.
Start recording and just let them run. Give yourself the opportunity to have verbal diarrhea, as it were, and just wow, let it go, and then catch the recordings and pull them back. And don't be critical. Take your first recordings and throw them out there, because somebody's going to go. They're going to go, oh my God, there's your first clickbait. Verbal diarrhea from Uncle Hornswoggle. Bam! People are going to be all over that. I got to see what this is.
Oh God, you're onto something. Well, people are getting tired of politics. They've been beaten over the head with it, so this is a good.
They're getting hit over the head with the same old. Everybody talking about the same things. With a lot of stuff. If we talk about ridiculousness and just stuff that really doesn't matter except to us and to certain people that experience it, then it hits a chord. Then sometimes people are like, I never knew that. I never experienced that. What is that about?
Well,
the mathematical formula of comedy: life plus logic equals comedy. You don't have to throw politics or religion into it at all. You just talk about walking down the street and I saw a person trying to pick up this off of the ground. And these are the trials and tribulations that they went through because they refused to do it in a logical fashion. And everybody goes, I've seen that, or I've done that.
I experienced that. I mean, it's funny. You could go around and go, hey, I was trying to hold a fart in. And just
see,
I couldn't believe it. I was trying to hold a fart in.
From that.
I'm in line. I'm trying to hold a fart in. And I don't know what, you can just go off with something, obscene, regular thing that happens to everybody and just go from there. And really don't care what anybody thinks, because everybody has experienced that in time.
You know,
it's like George Carlin said, you ever walk into a room and forget why you were in there in the first place? Yeah.
Bill Cosby says that hides in your ass. Well, before he became, we can't talk about him now, but we used to be able to talk about him.
Oh, yeah.
So the truth came out.
But there's your opportunity, my brother. You have a chance to run with that. And I'm willing to bet that if you spent the next month capturing some of your stories on, recording some of your stories, capturing them, just saying, hey, welcome to Uncle Hornswoggle's story time. Welcome to Crazy Bill's Diarrhea of the Mouth. Whatever you want to call it. Run with it.
Hey, Bill, call it Diarrhea of the Mind.
Diarrhea of the Mind. This is getting more disgusting as we go down the rabbit hole. Like and subscribe.
That's right.
We need Patreon.
Your subtitle, your subtext would be, Young and Freud would lose their minds.
They'd be grunting and squirting like the rest of us. Some things are universal. Pain being funny is universal across the globe. Toilet humor across the globe. For the longest time, Americans only knew Monty Python for British comedy, or if you watched PBS, Are You Being Served, and things like that. But there's actually so much more. Recently, well, I shouldn't even say that, I'm so out of touch. But comedy keeps evolving like all things because drama is permanent, but comedy keeps evolving. So what the both of you have said have given me hope because I often wonder, am I out of touch? Because some things I say nobody laughs, but other things I say people can't stop laughing. So, or like I said, Tanner, my 22-year-old coworker, we need to go do this. Okay, let's go there. I'm going to do all the talking, if that's okay with you. No, Bill, I like it when you do all the talking. Because he's taller than me, and he's younger than me, and he looks more psycho. So he's kind of like, he's like, I'm just going to say one thing and then stare at them until they do the right thing. Dude, honestly, you and me, the contrast, it works. Because I'm like, hey, hi, sorry, this place was closed an hour ago. I know, Father Time is such a jerk, isn't he? Anyway, you need to get the hell out of here.
That's right. It's a tool in your person. Walk up. Hi, yeah, I'm the nice guy. I've come here. This is my baseball bat. I just wanted to let you know that these are the problems, and I need you to take care of a few simple things and follow these basic rules because I want to put the baseball bat back in the cart. I don't want to have to use it. But you know, if you're of a mind that you'd rather take it to another level, hold on just a second. Baseball bat? Would you have? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. You don't understand. I pray for a glorious death. I really hope you're going to take it to the next level. But you're probably not, and it's easier to just de-escalate the situation.
Yeah.
This is my partner. His name is Mjolnir.
This is Tanner.
And if you're not familiar with Mjolnir, well, you'll get to know Mjolnir. Mjolnir, would you show them your hands? So this is why he's called Mjolnir. So next,
I should start introducing.
that was what I used to do when I was younger. Grandpa used to take me places, and he would just say, "Don't say anything." Yes, sir. And
Yes.
he'd walk to where it was just out of my earshot, but you'd see him talking. Point back. Huh? And he'd turn around and look at me, and I'd say, and the people would decide most often, "Oh, I think we'll be moving along." Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
You know,
Like Fabian says, I'm just standing here till you make the right decision.
yeah.
Because Tanner's like, I'm just gonna stare at him. I'm like, okay, I'll just be the clown. You can be the enforcer, and he does, and it works. He's a strong silent type. Only,
Yeah.
dude, I don't know if you want to like do that without me there. That may go badly.
Yeah, because you need, it's the good cop, bad cop thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to present you with the opportunities to do something that is right and make it easy and make it fun, or as much as I can. You're gonna like talking with me. You're gonna recognize that this is not what you want. Much rather be moving along.
I really am that guy. But I'm the first
You
one they say. Huh?
You're like, you'd be so much happier. You don't really want to do that back here. You really don't. But over here, you have that choice on it.
Yeah.
But we don't want to get there because it's not a good thing. I've seen it happen before.
Yeah.
It is not good.
My favorite line is, you don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to fill out reports. Why don't we just work together and get out of
Nobody here, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm tired
Nobody
of
likes
filling out
paperwork.
reports. No, my God. At approximately such and such time, I arrived here. We had a call from... Oh my God.
Right. Suspect was kind enough to repeatedly bash his face into Tanner's fist until Tanner calmed down.
Yeah.
He was actually quite a magnanimous customer. We were grateful to have him. Please comp his room.
Yeah. I enjoy... Tanner gives me... Tanner and most of the kids I worked with at Dairy Queen give me hope that Gen Z is okay. There's nothing wrong with them. They have the same, there's a lot that, oh my God, really? You're a little princess, you're just going to, but then there's all the that I work with where, dude, they're on top of things. They're getting shit done. Hey, I'm going to do this. Oh, I already did that. dude, Tanner, you rock, dude. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Okay, I'm going to do that then. Oh, cool. That'll be awesome if you do that. All right. I must, we only work like 3 days together a week, but I tell him, the 22-year-old, constantly, you are very wise. I did not expect that from you. Well done. Write that down. This kid's smart.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, I have forced The Crow on him. Oh, I don't have a DVD player. I can't watch it. Never mind. Give this back to me. Carson, here's The Crow, Dracula. What else did I give him? Top Secret. I gave him a myriad of movies. And he gave me back Dracula after watching it. He's like, this was incredible. I'm like, Gary Oldman took the job because he read the script and he said, the only reason I did this movie was to say the line, I have crossed oceans of time to find you. As a hopeless romantic, oh my God, that's like the best fucking line. Yes, please. So Carson told me in front of Tanner, this movie's fucking awesome. I'm like, I will give you terrible movies, and I've made you watch terrible movies, but I will also give you awesome movies. You have to have both. You have to watch Manos, Hands of Fate, and True Romance. You have to watch Highlander 2, The Quickening, and Tombstone. You have to have a dichotomy of
Brothers and the original Three Musketeers, so that you can understand the difference.
The difference, yeah.
The Corsican Brothers. Hey, I'm
Corsican
Mexican, and I'm afraid to die. I love the whole Cheech and Chong thing, where it's like they had all these, stand-up bits and this and that, but all their fans were like, hey, you're the drug comedians. Okay, we're the drug comedians. Yay!
Nice.
Whatever you want.
Whatever pays the bills. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
That Cheech said that, and Tommy Chong was like, 1 month you're doing stand-up routines and you're just scraping by and doing odd jobs during the day, and you're trying to scrape together money because your wife says the kids need new shoes, and you've got that going on. And the next thing you know, Up in Smoke and Earache My Eye are #1 hits on the and the money just starts flowing in. We better make a movie.
Mm.
I hope we
Sometimes
have that problem.
Well, we just need one of our dumb things to be clipped by something else, and all of a sudden we're radio play.
Don't worry,
We're good to go.
I got plenty of movie ideas, guys. The only reason that we're not making 3-minute trailers is Cliff is still not doing well. Please send healing vibes. Like and subscribe. Cliff has all kinds of medical issues. Bats in the Belfry, and he is Bob McCobb for Bob McCobb's workshop. But he's got limited... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it'll be safe to say we will never run out of ideas.
No.
Well,
he's got a we were going to make trailers for movies that don't exist because I'm just, that idea cracks me up more than you could possibly imagine. Like other people have done it. It's not like we came up with it first, but it would still be funny to do all the bits we did. But anyway, that being here nor there, the beauty with things evolving and multiple variations of comedy is that we're never, like you said, Guy, we're never going to run out of stuff.
We're never going to run out of stuff. No, when you said that, that brought me up. When you said that about making commercials, and every time I hear that, I keep thinking Tropical Thunder, where they did the dumb commercial for the movie Satan's Alley and all the rest of them, and I went, oh yes, I get the feeling. It makes me laugh every time when you say it. That's funny. Let's make different commercials with people.
The movie that I think about constantly that I need to get a copy of because I've watched clips of it is Club Paradise with Robin Williams and pretty
Oh,
much the
goodness.
cast of SCTV because Andrea Martin is in it, Rick Moranis, Eugene Levy, um, Joe Flaherty. It's amazing that John Candy and Martin Short aren't in the film, but nobody's ever seen this movie, even though it does exist. And I constantly,
I love that.
Mm.
I quoted that to my children all the time in the morning when they were pissing me off because there's a scene in the movie where there's a rebellion going on the island. So all of the cooks are fighting in the rebellion, but the guests of the crappy hotel come to have their breakfast. And the Jamaican woman comes out with orange juice in each hand and goes, "Oh, good morning. How are we today?" And they all start bitching. "What are we having for breakfast?" "Well, it's breakfast. Jump up." And they're like, "What the hell is breakfast jump up?" "Oh, well, that's when you jump up and you get your own, and you make your own breakfast. So I said that to my kids many times. But
The film came out. I was on the ambulances. The opening sequences. I showed
oh,
that in. I played that in the station house, and the guys were all like, "Oh, we need to find an island somewhere where we can retire."
because that's what happens to him. He's in like Cleveland, and Robin Williams is fighting the fire, and all of a sudden the whole fucking building collapses around him, and he gets
Yep.
injured, and he gets a settlement, and he goes to like St.
Buys the
Croix
island, or
or
he buys the
Jamaican.
hotel in the island.
Yeah. Well, at first he's just
Oh,
like living there, and then Jimmy Cliff is having problems because, well, what Brian Doyle Murray is buying the whole island with his Arab friends. "Forget this place. We're gonna go over here. They got lobsters
no.
the size of a small child."
We used to sit. That used to be the big joke. You'd be on scene, and you come out, "Little help, little help here. Where the hell were you?" "Oh, I was looking for you." "Yeah, looking
Yeah.
for me, right."
Hey, if you think about it, the '80s and the '90s actually did okay with first responders. And I'm not talking about the goofy movie Paramedics. That's not what I mean.
No.
I mean Backdraft, Club Paradise, one of my personal favorites, and not just because of Kim Cattrall, Turk 182. Because most of the movie of Turk 182 is political bullshit, but the other half is his rehabilitation.
There was Bringing Out the Dead too.
Oh, Bringing Out the Dead.
Bringing
Oh
Out
my
the
god.
Dead with Nick Cage.
Yep.
And
That one, we used to joke about that one. "You promised you would fire me if I was late." "I know I promised I would fire you, but I can't right now. Next time I promise I will fire you."
Yeah, and Colors, but with Bringing Out the Dead, my Bob, my ex-father-in-law, said the whole Narcan thing, and like, "Arise!" He's like, "That's real. They
Oh, hell yeah.
really do that." Well, I know, but if you're a civilian and you hear about
You
that
never.
and see it, you don't know if that's actually.
We used to, the one I will always
That's it.
remember is there were two. One, we
Oh
run
my
on a guy,
God!
he still has the needle in his arm.
Oh,
Mm.
And we hit him with the Narcan, and he wakes up and he gets pissed off because we fucked up his high. Spent a lot of money for that high. And we had to explain to him this: "You got about 3 minutes before you're going to be back dead. I'm putting you in the back of the truck taking you are."
Mhm.
The other one was we heard about a guy who got brought in, and he was so messed up on alcohol and drugs. And he's looking at the ER doc. "Doc, I don't understand why I keep passing out." And the doc, deadpan, looks him square in the eyes. "I don't know why you keep waking up."
You're a zombie, dude.
Oh wow. That
So
was
yeah, those were those were interesting times. I still remember them more fondly, or more deeply, I guess, as opposed to fondly, than I would really like to. So,
There is no hell. There's just dialysis.
Oh yeah. Ugh. The reality of things. Ooh.
I'm not a dialysis patient, but I did transfer them for 6 months when
Hmm.
Hannah was an infant. And
yep.
I that's the level of suffering I never want to endure. If I'm ever at that
That
level, I'm
and
just gonna kill
Mhm.
myself.
the chemo patient, the
Yeah.
ones that I used to get, the dialysis patients that had to go by ambulance because they couldn't,
Cat.
absolutely could not go by a standard,
Mhm.
by a medical transport vehicle. We had to take them because they had to have a medic take them, turn them over, pick them up, take them home. And the other one was the chemo patients. There were too many. The I have to say that I did have one time when I actually made, and they were stage 4. They were going to die. They knew it, and it was probably the best of those because we took them in. And they were going into a radiology department, and they were going through the motions. They knew it. The doctors knew it. The radiologists knew it. But this particular radiology department had, at the time, had new cameras. They had big, beautiful monitors, some of the early flat monitors. And so we go walking in, and I take the patient in on the gurney past the camera or the monitor so that they can look into where they're going to be in the radiology department where we're running the X-rays and everything.
Yeah.
And I look at the patient, I look at the camera, and I said, "Hey,
Oh.
smile! You're on chemo camera." And he was old enough, and that's exactly what he did. He just started roaring, and we put him in. We took care of it. We waited for them to finish. We go to take him out. The radiologist, the doctor,
Awesome.
he says, "What did you say to him?" I said, "Smile, you're on chemo
Chemo
camera." So they
camera.
made a
Where's
little
Alan
picture.
Funt?
Yeah, they made a little sign to put up in there.
Slunchy.
And the family said to us, they said, "That's the first time he's laughed in over a year. Thank you so
Oh
much."
my
And we're
god.
like, "Hell yeah." Taking him home, we're like,
Dude, that is funny.
"What else do you
You're a
want to do
funny
today? You
guy.
want to stop for some Dairy Queen? You want to run some
Yeah.
red lights? What would you like to do?"
Yeah.
Mm.
That's why we need to I always want to bring more people on to the council, but I worry that we talk over each other all the time. It'll just be a cacophony of noise when we bring. That's why it's like, okay, sometimes most of the time it'll be three of us, but usually it'll be more, and sometimes it'll be less. But that is too funny. Oh my god. I don't know. I chemo. At least you've got a shot, and you may not make it, but at least you have a chance. Dialysis. That's a one-way
Oh.
street. I just watched people deteriorate, and even my level of comedy couldn't save them. And that I desperately would love to be a doctor or somebody in the medical field, but it's the same reason I got out of psychology in the early 90s is I care too much, and that can destroy you.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets you. Caring is. Anybody need a cat that's got a farm? I have one to drop off. He's not. I'm going to have to take him to the pound. He's still marking. He's still fighting with everybody. It's been a couple years that he's lived with us. Anyway, but yeah, that's the difference. The dialysis versus chemo is. I'll give you money. Just get me home. I don't care if you speed. Oh, I love speeding, but you're gonna have to be the one that tells me I can't just speed because believe it or not, there's spies in this company that when I was working for Safe Ride, and late 96. I worked for the 6 months, and I'm like, dude, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to be taking Grandma Johnson to the podiatrist. I'm going to drive Jeeps. No, you're big. We want you to drive the vans because you can lift up the gurneys. You can lift up 300-pound people. Well, I can, but that doesn't mean I want to do it for 8 hours a day by myself. I mean, if I'm going to be doing that, I might as well be fighting crime. No? So, the problem with that job is I got into a lot of arguments with the dispatcher because he fucking hated me. So, dude, we're picking up people that are in wheelchairs. What is your problem? You sit there, stay there, go to that. Well, I kind of feel guilty about getting paid to eat donuts and drink coffee, but okay. You're in dispenser. So yeah, I didn't last long at that job. I can only handle bullshit for so long before as much as you gave me praise for being the storyteller and the creator, I also, yeah. Here's why you're stupid, and let me, yeah.
Those are the stories that draw people in. You can tell the stories that would draw people in. My stories tend to make people go, "Oh, why did you tell that tale?" Well, you asked.
My stories are I think that your level of first responder is so much like I would never. Yeah, no. I would because mine are like sad and lighthearted. Yours are like, oh, like you just said, oh my god, to like, really? No, really. All the kids died. It was a terrible thing.
Yeah, those are the ones that's the one thing that every first responder that I've ever known, everybody that I worked with, everybody that I talked with, that did the same thing elsewhere, that's the one question that people ask that you always dread. And they all want to know, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? And you go, I really don't want to think about that. I'll tell you a story, but I don't ever want to think about those things anymore. But I can't not think about them. And there's no way in hell I'm going to put that image in your head because I know what it did to me. I lived.
Yeah,
It's like asking a veteran. I never asked my dad what was the worst thing he ever saw in all his years doing special operations group with the Air Force, because there were the tales that he would tell me were chilling enough that I knew there were things he saw that no. And he used to sit and talk with my best friend when he got back from Iraq, and they would go off into another room. And my dad didn't drink very much at all, and he would go with my buddy, and he'd pull beers out of the refrigerator, and they would sit and talk for hours. And he just knew, because it was a matter of, I know you need to dump on somebody who has been there and done that.
It's the ignorance of being 12 and saying, "Oh, hey, you were in the army. Do you know my dad? How many people did you kill?" And the wisdom of 25 going, "You were in the service? How you doing? Is everything okay?" It's that level of that maturity comes with time, and you want to go back and smack the shit out of your 6th grade self, but you can't. You embarrassed yourself at that time, at that moment, and that can never be.
And they always understand it. I mean, we always understand the reason why, because people want to know, but they don't. They have a very
limited,
sanitized view.
Sanitized. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Because that's how it's presented most often, unless you're there. It's very sanitized, so it becomes very difficult to go beyond. Yeah. So, that's why when I would sit and talk with Little John, and he would tell me certain things, and I would talk with him about things that were going on with me, stuff that I saw, and we could commiserate, we could pull that kind of thing together. But there was a limit, obviously. He had done and seen things that I would never have been a party to. And the only difference between my experiences and his similar experiences were his were had in foreign countries.
Mhm.
So there were a lot of things. He was in the same league as my dad. Did things that never happened in places that didn't exist.
Yeah. Well, even Desert Shield became Desert Storm. And
Yeah.
talking to dudes that went to school with Guy and I and graduated in 1990 with Guy and I, and then they went off and they went around the world. And when they came back, these boys that had become men were now raging alcoholics. All of them, across the board. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, take your pick. Because these boys lived through atrocities and it made them men. And that's not to say to take away from any of the horror, because if this was another period in time and the Agogi existed, these boys would have entered at 8 instead of 18. So the bar may have been moved, but the experience is the same. Boys had to become men because that's what you had to do. However, first responder is, or paramedics or anything, it's a whole nother level.
Mhm.
We had the saving grace was that in the military, if your parents were willing to sign for you, you could go in at, I think at the time, 16 years and 9 months. They could sign. Off you go. To be a medic, you had to be 21 years of age before you could even get certified. So you had to have some life experience. You still didn't have enough to understand. Some of the first classes I went, and this was the course, and they would, you've got these old grizzled fire medics and captains and all these people have been doing this for decades. So I had instructors who were some of the first paramedics in the country. And they would, yeah. And these guys would sit there and they would show you, they would bring up pictures for training. And they would show you pictures of real incidents, real conditions.
Sorry.
And there were people that walked out of class
Yeah.
because they couldn't handle it. And you're looking at each other and you're going, wow. And that was where I first learned what true dark humor is, as far as it being there's a meme on Facebook that says this dark humor is a load bearing structure. That is the absolute God's honest truth. I'll never forget it. We were in a class and these two old fire captains are standing there, got two other medics. They flash a picture up on the screen of a guy, and I won't tell you what he looked like, but it was gruesome. And the one captain, the old captain medic, looks and he just asks the class, "What do you do when you roll up on scene? This is a patient." One of the guys in the back said, "The ladder company guy," and you ask him where the shovel is.
For the what?
You ask him where the shovel is.
Ooh.
Because you're looking at this guy and it's just like,
It's
and the
just
captain's
guts.
the captains just, they started to snicker and they go, "Yeah, you'll survive your first couple of years if you can make that statement at this circumstance in this group. You would never make it on the scene, but you can make it in this group
Yeah.
because that's how you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to come across
Well,
that
no.
later on when you get with your buddies,
People.
you're going to talk about the popsicle,
Yeah.
whatever."
When you're going through hell, it's a terrible experience, but then you laugh about it later. It's the same thing with the little girl that fell into the cactus over Passover. her mother really believed that we had poisonous cactus.
Yeah.
Just kind of out there, and oh no, there's maybe bacteria in there. Maybe it's fine. But that's ignorance. Ignorance is bliss. If you don't know.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing? It's already after 8:30.
I'm doing good.
We got a late
I'm
start.
fading.
Okay. Oh well, if you're fading, then we can.
Ah.
Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Patreon, all that fun stuff.
Put in Patreon. Be sure to put in your comments and everything on it, what you like, what you see. If you want to see more of Hornswoggle the Great and his stories, or you want to hear more of our stories, be sure to put it in. Any anecdotes, any humorous anecdotes, and tell us what you really think and feel. Let us know.
Yes. We are.
Right. Uncle Bill's diarrhea of the mouth.
We're also putting together D&D campaigns. I was talking to Willow, who's my 10-year-old niece, and Chip, my brother-in-law. Beth, my little sister, wasn't home yet, but little sister. We're in our 40s and 50s now. That's always weird.
Oh my God, you really made us feel old.
Well, I mean, it's the same as you going Jimmy and
Danny, yeah.
Danny.
Yeah.
Well, they're in there. How old
My
now?
little brother.
Yeah. We're the torch. It's the whole thing with Madonna. It's like a historian said, there is a grace in knowing when to bow out, and your time has done, and gracefully pass the torch to the younger generation. You may not believe everything that they're into, but dude, your time's over. Thank you
I
for
love it.
watching. Like it. Oh, go ahead, guy.
Well, I love getting older because it's just leveling up.
Yeah, really.
You just leveled up to 53, just leveling up.
Dude,
We're still in the game.
Yeah,
We're still in the
I think about all the people that you and I went to high school with, and how many are no longer with us.
Their game is over. We're still playing, and we're still playing well. You're right, Rob. Any time above 6 feet, we're good. So long as I can stay close.
That's right. I'm looking at the grass from the right side.
On the right side, yep.
I get them asking me all the time at work. They say, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm upright and vertical. Take it as a win."
I'm not unwell, thank you. What is it? Moderately neato.
Right, fair to middling.
Fair to middle. To quote George Carlin, because he's the original. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me tonight, and all of our one viewers. I'm having issues, but I'm going to repost on the Supreme Council of the Master Geeks Lodge and Hornswoggle the Great, because apparently halfway through, this thing started over, because I only have us as an hour and 35 minutes, but oh my God, I'm tired. I need to go to bed. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for viewing. Like and subscribe. Stay geeky. Stay spooky. And go, dudes.
Okay. Bye. Peace.
Oh, okay.
Adapt,
Thank
improvise, and overcome.
Adapt and overcome. Marine.
Hoorah.
Hooah. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Take care, my brother.
Absolutely.